Go.
Okay.
We are live.
We're live, yes. How we going?
Right. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of DCL PrimeTime. We're getting towards the business end of our league stage, and this is when things start heating up, quite literally in some cases, as we will discuss later on today. And there are some teams that are certain of their spot in the playoffs. There are still some teams that are desperately fighting and scrambling for those last few spots remaining. There were some exciting games last weekend. This coming weekend is going to be absolutely chock-a-block, I believe, with some what we anticipate to be very close games. So to discuss all that with you today, I have, as always, with me Parthiv Mehta. Viju, unfortunately, is having some network issues, so I believe he's still attempting to connect, and we hope that he will join us soon to provide his colorful version of the match analysis. And of course, we also have Satya, who's running everything in the background. So welcome again to all of you to this week's show. And Parthiv, please take it away.
All right. Satya, you want to bring up the results page? Yeah, as you rightly said, there were some games, and there are some games in the next week also, which will decide a lot of the pool standings, and there are a few places up for grab. Some teams have already occupied it. But this game was the first one we're taking is the Dark Horses versus FCC, a turnaround which we wanted to see from FCC. I think FCC this season has been dismal. We've talked about their batting not working. In this case, it was a pleasant surprise to see FCC batting really click. They kind of had a change in the batting order. If you look at some of their other batting scorecards, the top order kind of failed. In this case, Ashwant and Teju Kumar provided that start which they were looking for, a stable start. Ashwant went on to kind of play a longer innings at a pretty brisk pace, and then Karthik and Vijay Matta kind of killed it off. Good to see Vijay amongst the runs, but I think it was the bowling which kind of did the damage. 80 runs, and Dark Horses, we know, without Rahul Bhandari and Pankaj Watts, one of those guys contributing, their batting is nothing to write home about. In this case, that's exactly what happened. Pankaj and Rahul both failed. One of the things which was surprising was to see Pankaj open the bat. He is the mainstay of their batting, and to come open, it's a bold statement, trying to get the game by its collar. But then you also run the risk of, if you are gone, you basically leave the team pretty much handicapped. In this case, that's exactly what happened. Great bowling by Teju. If you see, he's pretty much dominated the whole scorecard. 5 wickets for him in this game, and he was the chief destroyer. He basically got Dark Horses completely. He was not only just economical, but just kept on picking wickets at regular intervals. So 78 was a below par score to start with, and then FCC made them quite comfortably without breaking a sweat. So good win for FCC. They still hang on to a chance to get into the playoffs, but it will need a miracle from here to get into the playoffs.
Okay. And looks like we have Viju back on. Viju, welcome. Glad you could join us.
Thank you, Avi. Sorry, I'm having some network difficulties, so I might cut in and out. So
no problem.
Sincere apologies even before it starts. Yeah, this game, Dark Horses versus FCC, I think the entire FCC run chase was constructed entirely on an assured Ashwant Vijay Mohan and a competent Karthik Wakiti and an electric Vijay Matta. So this was a good game for FCC. It was a much needed win, but maybe it's a little bit too late because with Dynamites winning and the others winning, it requires some help for them to get in. They need to win all their games, as well as hope that some of these other guys lose a game here or there. But their remaining games, I do not know if Parthiv covered it, is against Safaris, UCA, and Patriots. So it's not exactly a cakewalk, but I think the Safaris game is going to be the crucial decider there because You lose that, then that's it might be game over. But I wanted to focus a little bit on dark horses. If you look at it, Pankaj Watts, he's been doing this year in and year out. And I was wondering, what should Pankaj Watts do? And this is a question I want to address specifically to Parthav Mehta, because Parthav, you remember you've played in this league for a long time. And you pretty much carried the strikers team on your back for a long, long time. Have been their best player by a mile and then some. And then you get to the playoffs and you find that, you're out, and then you're in trouble, or you'll have to have a superhuman effort of taking maybe 6 wickets or 7 wickets. And when you go against good teams, that's probably not going to happen more often than not. And then I think it was in the 2019 season, or was it I think it was the 2018 season. There was this grand alliance between Raptors, strikers, and few other this thing, all coming under the Raptors umbrella with the blessings of Venkat Adappa, who's great at accumulating talents with numerous promises and things like that. You were the skipper of that team. My question to you would be, well, Watts is in a similar situation. If you really look at it, by far their best player for a long time. He has been their best batsman. Oftentimes he has to. He was never the same bowler as you were, Partha, but still, he had Raghu Kurapati, Mahesh Mutiala, a few other guys to help him out. Now Mutiala has gone seeking greener pastures with Blasters and things like that. Kurapati looks like he has retired. You have a whole bunch of new talent. We are now back into the rebuilding mode. If you look at the NFL teams and the NBA teams, it's in the rebuilding mode. My question is, as great as Watts has been, what would you, if he were to ask you, and I think of all of us, you probably have the best inside track on this because you've gone through this. And again, nothing like winning on your own team, wherein you construct your own team, and if you can win it and take it all the way, nothing like it. But if you can't do it, you did this experiment once wherein you went and played with Raptors for that one season, hoping for that elusive cup. And you had a fantastic team, at least on paper, and yet got knocked out in round one. Watts, if you ask me, is a class person on the field, off the field. I would vouch for him any day. Now, how does he had Harish Yala, which we talk about so much. Believe it or not, Harish Yala played for Dark Horses. In fact, when Glatz went and played Dark Horses, I remember watching that game on the video, and I kept hoping that Harish will get out, because as long as Harish was there, I felt the game was a 50-50 dicey game. Sure, we won that game with bonus, but he had an exciting team person like Harish on his team. And I think Harish lived in Ann Arbor. I do not know if he still lives in Ann Arbor, but that is how he ended up on Dark Horses, and he played for Dark Horses. But then come a new season, and here he goes and joins Legends. I'm not criticizing that move at all. I'm just saying is that he's not able to hold on to that kind of exciting talent. If you had to give an advice for Watts, what would your advice be? What do you think Watts should do at this stage? Because he's at a crossroads, all right? He's not winning any games. There have been a few games which have been very close, but let's face it, the Dark Horses bowling can't get my grandmother out, all right? That's how it feels like to me, because you have 150, 155, and they can't even defend that total. So they're either their fielders are dropping catches left, right, and center, like water slips through the hand, but they have not been getting the job done. On the batting end, Rahul Bhandari and Watts have been carrying the load pretty much all the game. What would your sincere advice be for Watts? I'm just curious to hear that.
Yeah, I think, we've gone through this maybe a couple of times in our strikers tenure, where we've kind of lost players. We've lost players, not because they've migrated to other teams, but, left Michigan or left India, and we've kind of rebuilt. I think one of the advices I would say is, in order to retain players, it's not just the cricket. it's much more than cricket. It's about how you tie them along with the broader philosophy, the broader family of to being together. And I think a lot of times that is what ties players to the teams. It's not just playing cricket. It's much more than that. It's about how you get along with people, how your spouses get along with other spouses, how you basically enjoy cricket after the game, before the game. I think those kinds of things is what people are looking for. And I think that would be my advice to Pankaj, is like when he's starting to rebuild this team, if he wants to keep the players who he has and attract new talent, he has to kind of build that culture where he is not only just building players, but he's building a community where people are coming in to stay and enjoy their time before off season and during the season.
Arthur, sorry, I think I was on mute. I was about to add, or it should be the case that your captain also happens to be the guy that does your performance review at work, right? And then you end up being in that team. I've heard that excuse from a few people that were, oh no, I can't do it because then that'll hit my yearly.
Which team are you targeting? Are we? You just have to mention the team name. You don't have to mention the name of the player. The team name. Please give us the team name.
Knockers, come on. You don't have to worry about
no, surprisingly enough, it wasn't Knockers. It'll come to me, Viju. It'll come to me.
All right.
This was a few years ago. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. So,
okay.
But I remember thinking, really? Wow, you tie cricket and you're professional? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so coming back to it, I think the second issue which you talked about, what should Pankaj do now? I think there are a couple of things which he can do is start looking for, I mean, they've been, dark horses have been rebuilding, but there is a phase in your team where you start looking for whether mergers and acquisitions are a possibility, because I don't think that should be ruled out completely. I know you want to win with the team you have, but you should also think about and keep that as one of the options on the table, because yes, mergers and acquisitions haven't worked out, but there are success stories. Like Indus Thunders is a perfect success story that has worked out, albeit with their own team. But there's still that merger and acquisition. The reason why, and I think the mergers and acquisition, I think a lot of people, like for example, when we did Raptors, when Strikers and Raptors came together, there is a myth that come first season, the team has to win the cup. That doesn't happen. For any team to kind of work together and win a cup or a series, it takes a couple of years or 3 years of, constant process. It takes to get to know the players, get to know the combinations, get to know how each one of them works as a personality, man management and all those kinds of things. So it takes time. And I think that was the primary reason why I think that merger failed, is because we expected result the first year. And that doesn't happen. So I was unable to kind of deliver on that philosophy, which I think most people wanted the cup right away in the first year. So I think even for dark horses, I think they should take it, they should keep their options open, either look for talent, look for options for mergers, and look for, like, if there is a team which they want to, completely, get into without a merger, just basically join another franchise.
Arthur, first of all, I mean, I agree with most of the points which you mentioned, in the sense that, yes, that chemistry has to be there. But can a merger work in the very first year? Yes, because Bridges and Glads joined together and we won the cup in the very first year. But coming to your point, we had terrific chemistry off the field even before we got together. So
right.
It was like when we got together, we hit the ground running right away. You see, just the first few games, we had to figure out what works and what doesn't work. But after that, come playoff time, we knew exactly what we wanted to do. But yes, you're right on this thing that it will take some time for you for that merger and to work out. But in Watt's case, let's look at it. Even if they merge with somebody, it's not going to be under the dark horses label, most probably, because when you are at the bottom of the barrel, somebody is not going to give up their team name and things like that. They'll say, you come and join us. You get my point? Then the question then becomes, should Watts even consider that? Because he still is a very good player. I mean, if it is just Watts, Lads would take Watts, just Watts alone. You get my point? I do not know anything about Rahul Bhandari. His scores have been pretty good, but I haven't seen the player. But I know Watts, both on and as a person who conducts himself very well. He's a person who could add value to any team, including Glads, is what I'm trying to say. So if he can add value to Glads, I would think that out of the remaining 31 teams, at least 29 of those teams would say that he adds value to them. You get my point? So my question then becomes, should Watts even consider going and playing for a new team like Mahesh Muthiala did? But again, the chemistry is the big aspect there, because if you don't have that kind of chemistry, like probably Muthiala had, at least from work with Imtiaz and all those guys, I think they all work together. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But
they do. Yep.
So tell me, is that something which he should even consider?
No, he, knowing him and knowing, where he is, played so many years for Dark Horses, led the team so many years. I don't think he can basically just go on his own. I think he will have some sort of a baggage with him. So that and as a leader, you need to also take care of, your teammates and make sure that, you think about them as well. So I think if he decides to join, it will basically, be a merger. There will be players who will come along with him, and that would be one of the conditions for him to join any team. I don't think at this point of time where he is, I don't think he can fly solo.
Okay, I just wanted to ask that. I wanted to, because I think come off season, Dark Horses has a lot of decisions to make, especially Pankaj Watts. But I thought maybe if he hears from you and if he's watching the show, he gets a different perspective, because I'm sure these things cross everybody's mind. What am I doing? What am I accomplishing? Because nobody comes into the season wanting to lose all 12 games. You get my point?
Right.
Or all 10 games, at least in this season. But anyway, congrats to FCC. Their dream is still alive. Dark Horses will be looking to see how things is going to fit for next season, if there is a next season for them.
Good discussion, gentlemen. I think that was actually quite enlightening and lovely to hear. If I may just make a suggestion, I think some of the games last week were either somewhat insipid or quite one-sided in some cases. So let's try and go through those somewhat quickly, because I know there are a couple of games that I think we would love to spend some time on. So,
yep. I think the next game is the Kings 11 Legends. I think this was one-sided, even though Legends lost 5 wickets. But I think in the end, it was a pretty simple game. Kings 11 have just lost the steam which they started with. The way they started against us, I was very, very excited that a new team is on the blocks. Even though we lost, I was pretty excited to see the talent which has come through, especially from a team which nobody really gave them a chance. And I was expecting better results, down the season. But somehow, after the first couple of games or 2 or 3 games initially, when they were really playing well, they've lost steam. And against Legends, obviously, we all predicted Legends would win. But the kind of result or the kind of fight, I expected much more from them. The batting card was a very, very sorry tale. Single digits all over. Just one score of significance. That was the 22 from Sai Gautam. But unfortunately, 62 is never going to change. I'm never going to challenge Legends. Even though Harish was playing, he didn't really make an impact in this game. I'm pretty sure this was like a foregone conclusion, so he didn't have to really bend his back or score. But he made a contribution, as he normally does. 26 from the 62. Just made sure that Legends won it comfortably. They lost a couple of wickets in between, but all in all, clinical finish. Legends are still unbeaten, and I am betting that they would go unbeaten through the season. Even though we play them, my brain tells me that they would go unbeaten this season.
Parthiv, the name Guru Naga killed Kings 11. You see, when Kings 11 heard his name was Guru, they thought that they can approach him as a Guruji and get some dakshina or some blessings from him. But as soon as they approached him, the Naga person in him, which is a serpent, started striking out. And The next thing you know, 4 of the Kings 11 batsmen were gone, and Guru Naga finished with figures of 4 overs, 1 maiden, 12 runs, and 4 wickets. Now, if you ask me who is the MVP of DCL, it's a 4-way race right now, at least in terms of points right now. There are 4 players with more than 1,000 points. Golden Mritini leads DCL with 1,294 points. He is followed by the great Harish Yala with 1,199 points. And that is followed by Bangera with 1,046. And then right on his heels, nipping on his heels, is Deepak Bhaskaran from Thunderbolts at 1,045. Now, out of these 4 players, if you ask me, I think Harish and Bangera have the best chance because their teams are going to be in the playoffs. So they're going to keep accumulating points in the playoffs. Whereas if you are not a playoff-bound team, as soon as the regular season gets over, your contribution to the points total ends right there. So for that reason, I think Harish and Bangera have the best chance. But if I asked you who is number 6 on that list, I was surprised to see Guru Naga is number 6 on the list. Believe it or not, he is number 6 with 983 points. So in other words, without anybody talking about this guy has been quietly climbing up the charts, and he is number 6 on the list. And I'll give you another surprise, Parthiv. I looked at this list and I found that there was not a single Blacks player, not even in the top 30. Not even in the top 30. Yeah, and I was stunned when I saw that not even in the top 30, you don't even have a single Blacks player. I think it comes almost to 35, where you see, or 36 is Vaibhav Jagdishan. That's our number 1 ranked player from the Blacks team. And I was stunned to see that. But that probably also says that in Blacks, almost every week, somebody else is picking up the weight and carrying the weight kind of a thing. But if you ask me who's the best team in DCL, I think it's a 3-way fight for the best team in DCL. You have Legends, who is unbeaten, 8 games, 40 points. And then you have Glads, who is the only other unbeaten team with 7 games, 35 points. And I think nobody expected this, but Sterling Strikers is in contention for the best team in DCL. So last week when Mansab Butt said that he expects Sterling Strikers to reach the semi-final of DCL, I don't think it is a stretch by any imagination, because right now I'm telling you, fighting for the honors for being the best team in DCL, it's probably one of these 3 teams based on the body of work which they have put out. But Parthiv, I saw Harish play in that game, even though he scored 26 runs. The way in which he batted, he won my heart. It was so effortless. It was so easy. He was in complete control. Here was a batsman on top of his game is what I felt. I'm a fan of his. And if you ask me what is there not to like, he's a complete package. As a batsman, he's a complete package. He seems to be a very easy guy to get along with. And as a bowler, he also is a complete package. So Legends have a superstar there. And no wonder they are unbeaten. And yes, I think at this point of time, they are probably the best team in Pool B. And they might be the best team in Pool, the entire DCL too. So, but congrats to Legends, hard luck Kings 11. But I think we all saw this coming.
Absolutely. I think the very first time I saw him against, I think it was Hitman, the first game where he got like 6 wickets or something, I was like thrilled to see him just bowl. He has that, as I think I mentioned in one of the shows, he has that Dale Steyn kind of a run up and follow through, which is like, the perfect action. So, just looking at him, it's like poetry. All right, now next game is the one which I can talk more about. It's the Strikers versus Hitmen. This was a crucial game for us, and I'm pretty sure for Hitmen as well, because I think all 3 Strikers, Hitmen, and Kings 11 are running for that 4th and 5th spot between the 3 teams. This was a game which we absolutely wanted to win, make sure that we get the full 5 points to give us a little bit of a cushion or a little bit of an edge, I would say, going into the last 3 games. We still have Brownstown to play with. But in this game, I think we were in trouble. We were 24 for 4. I remember Hitman, started really well. They got us in trouble. 4 of our top batsmen, Rahul and Parag and Darpan, all of them kind of failed. And Arun, this is the first time I'm watching him bowl, but he's got that kind of a Bhuvneshwar Kumar kind of a swing. I don't know whether he does it with the wrist or what, but the ball has like a shape which it comes out of his hand, and that was basically defeating our batsmen. We were either getting beaten outside the off stump, or a couple of people just nicked it, and that's how he got his wickets. But he was definitely doing something with the ball early on in the first 5 or 6 overs, and then eventually I think we settled down. I had a good partnership with Vinayak, and towards the end, our dynamite Kishore, a pocket dynamite we call him, he gave us the momentum to get the score past 117, which was at that stage. I felt that that was going to be a winning score. But we wanted to make sure we win with the bonus points. So we didn't want Hitman to get any chance. And I think the ball, all of us contributed. It was great to see everybody in the wickets column. Rahul Chowji, as you all know, he's our trump card. His balls come from the second floor. He has that weird kind of a loop which he gives, and you either you need to kind of reach to the pitch of the ball, or you need to wait back. But if you miss that, you're probably going to sky it most of the time. So he got us unusually 4 wickets. We were short of bowlers, we had to use him. But all in all, I think Hitmen never really got a start. I mean, they kept losing wickets time after time at every interval, and towards the end, I think they were well short of the target. So it was quite a satisfactory victory, quite a probably our largest victory this season, by the margin, and that definitely helps us to boost our run rate as well. The last 2 games have been great. Agni and Hitman have helped us to kind of boost our run rate and get to that 4th spot. So from now on, it's going to be, hope we don't slip. And Hitman have an uphill task. They do play Kings 11. I think that game, as we predicted, the Stay Showcase game of the week, that's going to, determine, who stays in the race for that 5th or the 4th and 5th spot in the Pool B.
Parthiv, striker, I think 2 weeks ago when Hitmen were way ahead of Strikers and Kings 11, even at that time, I said I will not pencil Hitmen into the playoffs. I still stand by that statement. I told you that Strikers, Hitmen, and Kings 11, they are going to fight for two of those playoff spots, because I think 3 spots are already settled. So the remaining 2, out of these 3, 2 of them are going to win it. And I still felt at that point of time 2 weeks ago that Strikers and Kings 11 had the inside track and probably the better advantage over Hitmen. But if you ask me for Strikers, I don't know if you saw the movie The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. It's a great movie. It's a Western, an old Western Clint Eastwood movie. If you ask me, a classic, in this game, it was Vinayak, Kishore, and Parthiv who were the good, the bad, and the ugly. Vinayak was good, as in 34 in 46 balls. Kishore was bad. When he said bad towards the Hitman. He was really bad on the Hitman because he scored 28 in 26 balls. And Parthiv had this ugly 20 in 37 balls to complete that sequence of the good, bad, and the ugly. But if you ask me, I always dig ugly in a win versus good in a loss. So who likes a loser? I always prefer the ugly winner any day of the week, any day of the year, over somebody who looks good and keeps losing games. So it's a great game for Strikers and a wonderful win for Strikers. It was a key critical game. It is one of those games which are super important, where you are in a dogfight and you know that the loser is probably going to miss the playoffs. So congrats to Strikers on winning this crucial battle. I mean, you can afford to lose to Legends, but you can't afford to lose to Hitman. It's as simple as that. So congrats, Parthiv and Strikers.
Thank you, Vijay. Okay, so the next game was the Rising Stars and Punjab Warriors. This I thought initially was going to be at least a good competition, because Rising Stars had nothing really to lose. Their season is pretty much done in terms of playoffs. So, and same with the Warriors. Punjab Warriors, they definitely are going to miss that boat as well. But for bragging rights, I think this was a game where both could have shown the potential, but really didn't live up to that. Rising Stars, we've talked about them. They haven't been able to rise. Prashant, being the leader he is, he always makes sure that they fight. But I think in terms of talent, in terms of the skill level, I think Rising Stars are still lacking to kind of compete with some of the teams. And Punjab Warriors, we've seen them kind of off and on. There are days when they've completely bamboozled us, and there are days when they've been kind of miss completely. But in this case, they stepped up. They made sure Rising Stars were not allowed to score any more runs, and then they finished off in clinical style with a 9-wicket victory. I'm pretty sure Gurdeep would be very happy with the team's performance. And even though they are, not really in the playoff stage, but I think they will take heart from some of the victories they've had, and some of the learning experience they've had. So, first season, having like a 6th or 7th position in your pool, not too bad. They still are above Canton 11, which is a surprise. But still, I all in all, I think a one-sided game.
Arthur, I agree with you. It's a dominating win for Punjab Warriors. The lesser I say about the game, the better it is. And in the interest of time, I shall skip this game.
Cool. I think the next game is also one of the one-sided games. Although, Spartans initially were one of the teams which I was looking forward to, especially after their performance with Krcc. But again, just like other teams we talked about, Rising Stars and even Hitmen, their graph keeps kind of is on the wrong side. Their performance has dipped from the time they started, and Blasters have been improving. I mean, we've talked about how good they are in their bowling lineup, but the batting is now starting to click. We've seen some really good performances from Tharun and Sham at the start, and then even though there wasn't much contribution there, but I think the opening stand did the trick for them. They basically had a for 40-50 run stand, which I think gave them the impetus. And then after that, everyone pretty much chipped in with some score, 8 or 9 or 10 runs, and got to the point where the score was 118 against the Blasters bowling attack. I think it's almost like 130 or 140. So and on the other hand, Spartans never really got started. Everybody's in single digits. Imtiaz, Deepak, again, the same old guys who have been dominating their bowling attack. Deepak, pretty much the whole league knows about Deepak Guyappa. And I think one of the strategies that most teams go is to not lose wicket against him. And I think that actually works in his favor, because people are already on the back foot as compared to somebody stepping up and kind of giving it back in terms of not respecting the bowler, but respecting the ball. And that's what I've seen even with when we played them. Is like already my batsmen were like, oh, we are facing Deepak, and there's already that fear. So I think that has been working well. So going forward, I think if teams are playing Blasters, I think that's something which they need to remove, is don't respect the bowlers, respect the ball. So in this case, Blasters keep moving, and I am pretty sure this team this win is another confidence booster for them, especially the batting.
Avi and Parthiv, what a lopsided thrashing. If you ask me, opponent after opponent is making the Blaster bowlers look like the second coming of Courtney Ambrose and Michael Holding and Malcolm Marshall and Wasim Akram and Waqar Yunus. I do not know if Avi might remember this. This was the Caribbean tour. India was touring the West Indies back in the 80s. Sunny Gavaskar was batting, and it used to be every game it used to be Caught Bew John bowled Marshall. Gavaskar was having a very tough time playing it, and so one day he took a bet with a West Indian guy, a spectator, that he will outscore both the Gordon Greenwich and Desmond Haynes combined. And he took that challenge, went in, and sure enough, he scored only 1 run. And again, it was the same thing. Caught Bew John, bowled Marshall. He came back, He put a large sum of money and he gave the money because that was it. Surprise, surprise. When West Indies came into bat, both Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenwich scored ducks. So one beats zero. All right. This is a story which most people do not know. One beats zero. Gavaskar then started looking to find that guy because he had won the bet, but he had already paid his money. So he needed to recover his money and collect the money. But that guy was long gone. All right. When I look at this game, Tarun Vempati alone outscored the entire Spartan team. And if you had told me at the beginning of the game that Tarun Vempati alone will outscore the entire Spartan team, I probably would have said, yeah, let's take that bet. You get my point? I don't think that's going to happen. But that's exactly what happened. And as Parthiv said, yes, the only point where I disagree with this is, yes, the Blasters, it's always somebody is performing, all right? It's one person who's performing, and then the other guys all are single-digit scores kind of a thing. In this case, Sham Kacheti had a double-digit score, so they had a good score under this thing. But discussing this game any further would be doing disservice to the Spartans. And honestly speaking, we are always running out of time, so let's move on. But congrats to Blasters, another dominating performance.
So one thing to say, yes, I have read about that anecdote. I was still too young to follow that tour in real time, but yes, I have read that anecdote. And the other thing, yeah, and that's the point about teams like Blasters, right? The teams that get amalgamated through accumulation of star players, and someone or the other ends up saving you the blushes in regular games. But whether they will all combine together and deliver in a crunch game, that is what remains to be seen. But yes, Troy Hawks versus Thunderbolts, this was actually expected to be a bit of a close contest, but turns out not to have been the case, I guess.
Yeah, it was pretty lopsided again. A victory of more than 50 runs, 40 runs is always a big margin. Troy Hawks, I think, somehow weren't able to get the run, even though Mega Sai, we know him from the Stallions. He was part of Stallions and he was their backbone. He basically carried their batting to a large extent.
Wow, that is actually a good acquisition by Troy Hawks. I didn't know he played for them. That is a very, very good addition to the team.
Yeah, I think being in Troy, and I guess he must have friends around in the local area. I guess that's right. That's a good acquisition, absolutely. But again, here he's carrying the load here with the bat. Troy, he along with Shashidhar, made sure that they reached 98. And that was that I thought was at that point of time under par. I was thinking that Thunderbolts would come close to it, but somehow I failed to understand why Deepak Bhaskaran comes in at number 9 or 10. When he's been your major contributor. I would have definitely wanted him to come up to the top. But there was a batting failure throughout the entire team. I mean, none of them kind of had any chance of even getting close to the Troy Hawks total. So all in all, I think Troy Hawks a well-deserved victory. They definitely keep their position in the pool intact. They have been behind the Indus Thunders and Raptors for the third position, closely followed by Dynamites. But this win definitely keeps them in that race. So it's going to be a close fight between the Hawks and Dynamites and Patriots. I think from here on in, it's all who slips and who gets the third and the fourth position. So a good victory for Troy Hawks. Albeit we all expected it close, but they took it really easily.
Parthiv, Troy Hawks' new addition, Mega Sai, as you rightly said, came from TCA Stallions. He scored 41 in 55. If you ask me, this addition of Mega Sai at this stage is clearly Troy Hawks giving an ultimatum to the rest of the league that they are prepared to do what it takes. In Super Bowl 18, there was a guy named Joe Jacoby. He played for the Washington Redskins, if I'm not mistaken. He said, to win the Super Bowl, I am ready to run over my mother if I have to do that. Well, in response, Matt Millen, who used to be the president for the Detroit Lions, He used to be an Oakland Raider. When he heard that, he said, not only am I prepared to run over my mother, I'm also prepared to run over Joe's mother, if that is what it takes for me to win the Super Bowl. I think the Troy Hawks, what they are trying to say is that, you know what, we are prepared to run over everybody's mother in DCL if that is what it takes for us to win. This is an addition where they are trying to send a message that they are very serious about making some serious noise in DCL 2021. Great addition for Troy Hawks. I only see them going from strength to strength. So congrats to Troy Hawks. I think for Thunderbolts, I think the season pretty much is done. They'll just be completing the going through the motions to finish out the season, but they'll be sending Empires in the playoffs. That's how I see it.
And speaking of sending umpires, I will speak a bit more about it on one of the later games. But I was actually supposed to umpire this game, but I was unable to do so because of a medical emergency for my wife. But I am not sure who went in my place. I know Ravi worked pretty hard to find somebody to umpire instead of me. So whoever went, I would like to thank that person for going there and thankfully filling in my shoes. And also thanks to my captain for working the phones as hard as he did. So I just wanted to make that.
Avi, in all fairness, I thought it was, who is this? I thought it was Ranjit who arranged the umpire. First, he arranged a gentleman by the name of Kishore, but he was already taken. So he arranged somebody else. But he arranged somebody else. So,
yes. So I know
it was Ranjit, if I'm not mistaken, who did the hard work. So,
yes, so it was actually Ranjit and Ravi, and I'll come to that when we come to the Indus Thunders versus Raptors game, because that's
and probably Ravi also had a hand in it. But I'm just saying is that, in all fairness, I know that I didn't want Ranjit not to get the due honors, because at least I saw the emails all came from Ranjit.
Right.
That's the only reason I said that.
Right. No, and I wasn't about to miss out on his name. His name will come up when I raise the issue later on in one of the later games. So.
Yeah, the next game was the one I think was probably the showcase game of the week. I mean, in terms of, the game to watch out, Patriots Safaris, not only was the game close, the nature of how it was played, but also in terms of the significance it has on Pool A, because Safaris with this win do keep their door open. They play FCC, they play SSK, they play UC. I think they play Raptors next, but they do keep their door open, and they somehow, with this victory, they have basically made it a slightly difficult life for the Patriots captain. Even though Patriots are at number 5, but with this loss, I think definitely keeps the Thunderbolts and the FCC still in a little bit of a chance. The door is still slightly open for them, for these teams. This team, I think we talked about it offline. This was a game which was very closely fought. A lot of heated exchanges between the players. And if you look at the scorecard, it was, I mean, in terms of batting, Patriots, I think they somehow never really, there wasn't a player who actually carried the bat. I think there were contribution. There were 4 or 5 players who got a start, double-digit numbers, but there wasn't one contribution, like one person who could basically stay there and give them that, the additional 20 or 30 runs, which could have made, this game out of the Safaris range. You have the usual suspects, 7 bowlers or 8 bowlers used by Patriots. That's something which pretty sure there must be some strategy around it, of using that extra bowler for that one over. But when they chased, I think Safaris were clinical. I think it was brilliant batting to chase this kind of a total. And for that, you need partnerships. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, if you look at their scores, there was, time after time at regular intervals, that there was always someone who was there. You started with Ravi, the 2020, Swarna Bhaskar, Swarna Mritini, who we call the golden boy. He's been amongst the runs, and he's in the table as well. I'm pretty sure Viju is going to add a lot of color when he talks about him. But again, he stepped up, and as you go down, you see contributions which are coming from, at regular intervals. Karthik and Mohammad Maqsood and Uday, all those runs kind of add up, and especially when you're chasing, you do require these contributions right down to the tail, and that's exactly what happened. They were right down to the wire. I mean, so I would love to find out what happened in the last final overs, because if you look at the scorecard, they were at one point of time 7 for 89 in the 23.3 overs. So from there, they needed 12 runs in the 9 balls. So that 20, probably the 23rd or the 24th over, that basically for some reason looks like that changed the game. The 24th over. So if you look at that over from Rahul to Swarna, I think that boundary that basically made all the difference, because I would say 23.3 overs, 9 balls, 11 runs. I would give it to the bowling team to defend, especially when you're 8 down, 7 down or 8 down. But that one hit, I think, made that all that difference.
Parthiv, I think you're looking at the wrong scorecard, because 94 for 7 was basically the Patriots batting there. It's you should be looking at the right side of the scorecard, which is where the Safaris are batting.
Okay.
So when you say 94 for 7, that was the Patriots.
Okay. Wait,
so they ended up at 100. The Swarna Rahul bowled the 24th over. You get my point? And Uday bowled the 25th over.
Okay, so I'm reading this scorecard incorrectly. So yes, so I think I would say if I reread the scorecard again, I think Safaris on the other hand were going. They basically had a hiccup at the end. I guess they were coasting, but the last
they were coasting over, because if you look at it from the 20th over all the way up to the 24th over, 23rd over, they were consistently scoring 6, 4, 5, 6. You see,
yes.
So they knew their target and they seemed to know how to get it done.
Right. And one of the other things which I'm just noticing is the extras. I think that was good from Patriots. They just gave 6 extras as compared to Safaris, who had 18. So I think Patriots from that point of view, did a good job, but somehow they weren't able to stop the constant run of flow, the 5-6 runs per over, which I think was constant, runs per over. So go on, Viju. I know you have.
Parthiv and Avi, we are going to do something slightly different. We have been great fans of Golden Rithini, and we have been pumping him up over the last few games, and he has rightly been dominating DCL, at least in the MVP race. But I still do not think he wins the MVP, because I don't think his team makes the playoffs. And I think one of the playoff team guys, whether it is Bangera or the other person who was leading, I forgot, the Legends guy, Harish, they have the better track because their teams are going to be in the playoffs. But I was sent videos of this game. We have a vast network of people who send us things. And so one of the things which was sent to me was of this game. I was sent the video, and I was also asked to watch a certain thing which was happening. So I have forwarded those videos to Satya and in our WhatsApp group. Satya, can you run the first video? And this is Golden Rithini is the non-striker, and somebody else is the striker there. But if we can run that video right now.
You want some? I have the full video.
No, but I told you the specific point, right? If you looked at your WhatsApp.
1935. 1935.
Yeah, I told you run it from 1925 to whatever. I can pull up the WhatsApp. That's what I.
25 to 2010.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. 1918. That's fine. You can.
Finish it up, boy. Finish it up.
All right. You have Ravi Rachan Samidala, I believe, is batting. And so here it is. He hits it. This is a catch, all right? But all right, I don't think you can hear the audio, but what really happens here is you have the non-striker, Mr. Golden Ratini, and you see that argument which is taking place there, all right? You have Sai Kiran Tota and a few of the Patriots objecting to something which has happened. Well, let's identify what really happened. What really happened is the ball goes up in the air. It is a catch, but Mr. Golden Ratini is running from the non-striker end to the striker end, and as he is running, he interferes with the ability of the catcher to catch the catch, and he starts shouting, "Chod de, chod de." In other words, drop the ball, drop the ball, drop the ball. That sure affected the concentration of the fielder, and sure enough, the catch got dropped. And that is where you see Sai Kiran Tota and a couple of the Patriots saying, "Hey, you can't do that." And in response, our Golden Ratini goes and says, "Who said, why can't I say that, bro? Why can't I say that, bro? I can say what those things." Well, I have some news for Golden Ratini. You are absolutely wrong. You cannot say those things. In fact, I would assure you, if I was an umpire there, I would have given that batsman out and I would have sent him packing. You know why? Because when you hit a ball, and let's say there is a catch coming, and if you interfere with that catch and knock that ball out of this thing, that is it's as good as being declared out. Same thing, you hit a ball on the ground, there is an ability for the fielder to go for it, and you purposefully kick that ball away, that is interfering with the fielding team. You have a rule which says that once the bowler starts his run-up, or once he is at the top of his run-up, he's going to begin his run-up, the fielding team is not supposed to say a word after that. There's supposed to be complete silence. And if somebody is chatting, the umpire will warn you and say that, "Hey, stop chatting." Especially it's the keeper who does a lot of the chatting. He will warn the keeper and say, "Hey, once the bowler is on his run-up, you can't do any more chatting. All your chatting you do before that." Why? Because the batsman needs to have that concentration. You should not be disturbing the batsman, and you should be allowing the batsman to have the ability to concentrate on the ball and not interfere with his ability to bat. When you are the batsman, you expect that courtesy from the fielding team, that the fielding team will not interfere with your batting ability. Sure enough, the Patriots did not interfere with your ability to bat. But when there was a catch going to them, you interfered with their ability to catch the ball. Whether that certainly had some say in it, because the catch got dropped. Did you do the right thing? Absolutely not. You may be in the race for the MVP for the league, but Mr. Golden Ratini, you are absolutely wrong on this one. You had no business to utter anything. And if you utter something, you are interfering with that fielder's ability. And it is this which really irritated the Patriots, and the Patriots were mad about it. And you could see that they had a few conversations about it. If this was a top-notch team, whether it is GLCC or GLADS or or KRCC or any of those teams, they would have been all over you on this one. They would have been jumping up and down, screaming that, you know what, this is bloody murder. So my point here is, yeah, go ahead.
Biju, I basically do not agree with a few of what you said. I agree that, if it's a blatant, interference in the field, like if you run into a player purposefully or you kick the ball, those things I absolutely agree. Those are not permitted, and you basically, but in terms of then the ball goes high up in the air.
You're the batting team. You're not. You're not supposed you're not supposed to say anything.
No, I'm the batting team. Whether I'm the non-striker or the striker, or even if I'm in dugout, we've seen.
Yeah, dugout is fine. Dugout is fine. That is outside the field.
Okay, so
you can't stop the audience from saying whatever they want.
Yes, but let's say take for example the striker and the non-striker. The ball goes up in the air. I'm still calling out to my non-striker that he's going to drop it. Keep running. Is that interference?
No, but that is you're talking to your own player.
No, but I'm still shouting. I'm just basically saying he's going to drop it. You keep running.
Exactly. So you're saying "chhod de" is wrong, but "arey chhod dega" is okay. I mean, that's
right. Exactly.
But you're shouting at the fielder saying that "chhod de, chhod de, chhod de." I mean, is that fair? In my book, it is not fair.
It is not. I agree.
So then explain this to me. Then why can't I keep talking when the batsman is batting? Why the two different set of rules? In other words, then let us stop when the batsman is batting. As soon as the bowler is coming to bowl, keep on discouraging the batsman and keep on talking in his ear.
Well, it's
Is
kind
that
of
right?
akin,
No,
it's
even
kind
in
of
that
akin to
case,
saying a stumping or a run out is okay, but a mankading is not, right?
no. So even in that case, when the keeper is talking, and I do that all the time, right? I keep talking. The batsman has the right to pull away. Okay, it's not just the umpire who has to tell the keeper that keep quiet. The batsman can pull away. He can. I think it happened in this India-Australia game, right? Ashwin was batting and Payne was chatting and going on, and he moved away. He basically moved away. He was not going to face the ball till Payne stopped talking, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, that the batsman always has the right to walk away and make sure everything is according to his liking to face the ball. Even when he's not ready, if the bowler is on the run up, and if he's not ready, he just has to walk away, right?
Arthur, sometimes it's split second. Okay, let's say the bowler comes. If this is starting at the beginning of the run up and it's a long run up, it's one thing. But if the bowler is very close to the umpire and ready to deliver, and you start chatting,
right,
there might be very little time for me to even make that decision to walk away. You get my point? So there are certain etiquettes which you follow, which is, hey, have respect for the opposition. At least don't talk to him directly. You talk to your own field, to your own non-striker or striker. That's one thing. That is you talking to your own player. You get my point?
Right.
But when you're shouting this obviously at the fielding team, and then when the fielding team drops the catch, it is adding insult to injury. And
So-
I do not know. I mean, yeah, go ahead, Avi. But I'm just saying is that, you know what, if you're showing that courtesy to the batsman, then show the courtesy to the fielding team too. I can see why the Patriots were very, very upset. And in fact...
So that is where this comes in, right? I completely understand. In principle, it has happened to me before when I was a fielder going for a catch and they'll be like, "Arey, chhod dega," or "Arey, chuti," and I'll be like, "Guys, shut the hell up. There's a guy here trying to do his job." So it's in principle, I do agree with you, Viju. I understand. But you mentioned a couple of things. Oh, well, I don't know if we can equate it to say if Parthiv was going for a catch. I don't know if you can equate me saying, "Arey, chhod de Parthiv," to going to actually knocking the ball away or pushing him away. But that's one thing. But the second thing, again, you said that it is against the rule, but you're also saying that it's not the right etiquette. I agree with the latter, but is there indeed a rule that actually prohibits the batsman from yelling at the fielder to drop? I hope there is. Trust me, my personal opinion, the batsman has no bloody business yelling in the fielder's face when the fielder is
you don't see that in international cricket, do you?
I hope.
I don't think we can hear that clearly, to be honest, if that does happen or not.
Yeah, which is what I hope to goodness
you hear the chatting when the batsman is batting and then the batsman pulls away. But I don't think that, at least in international cricket, you get to the point where I think it kind of is like it's a little bit below the belt. It's like when you're in a boxing match in the ring, punching below the belt. That's some boxers do that. Is that right? No, it's not right. And so I felt the same way here. In other words, you talk to your own player, that's fine. But do you have to address it to this thing? But anyway, that riled up the Patriots, and I think we want to run the second video to show the effect it had on the Patriots. So let's go ahead and run that second video.
Just
Satya.
1 second before that, Vijay, sure. You did say if you were the umpire, you would have sent the batsman packing for what was done.
Yes.
But which is one thing. Philosophy aside, technically speaking, does the umpire have the authority to do that?
That's a good question. I mean, I think you have the ability to send this thing for when you think it's an absolute interference, you have the ability to do that. The umpire has the ability to, if you think it is an interference by the opposition team, you have the ability to send this thing. But that's probably what I would do, because in the sense that I feel that is interference. All right, that's my call on that. But I do not know what the DCL committee thinks about it.
It's probably food for thought. It's something.
It's something which is worth thinking about. You get my point? Because if there is a rule that at least it will prevent obvious interference. You get my point?
Agreed.
I mean, it would just clean up the game. Is there any reason why we don't want to clean up the game? I mean, if there is some way to clean up the game, shouldn't we all be striving towards cleaning up the game rather than making this into some sort of a stupid gully cricket?
Agreed.
No, I think the problem is, I think the problem is there's a very fine line to decide whether it was set to the fielder, whether it was.
Oh no! If you look at the video, it was clearly in this video. It was clearly set to the fielder. In this video, it's very clearly set to the fielder. All right. There is no fine line here. All right. In this video, it is very clearly set to the fielder. You can ask the batsman, you can ask the strong striker, you can ask the fielding team. They'll all say that it was set to the fielder. So but now the question is, does that come to the anyway? Let's run the second video, and so we'll see the effect it had, because it had a great effect on the Patriots team, and I think this celebration is worth watching, and I enjoyed that celebration. Every fiber of my being, I enjoyed it. Go ahead.
What is that?
We need such kind of
3625.
Satya, I sent it to you in the WhatsApp, the exact this thing. Can you pull up your WhatsApp and check your WhatsApp? I mean, that alone.
Yeah, it's 36.
Okay. All right. This is Madhu bowling.
My God.
So there is a lot of goli dalo, and there is a lot of comments this thing. But I thought that celebration probably was the best celebration of the week, and
it's a pity that there was no camera and no recording when I was bowling in my heydays. Otherwise, there would have been serious competition to him.
Well, I felt Madhu was celebrating a lot like how I celebrate when a wicket falls, you see. So it reminded me of myself too. So I enjoyed this celebration. I think it was warranted, and I think it was good that the Patriots got a chance to return the favor back.
This is the novelty we bring to the community through this show, right? Where being a video show, we are able to share these kind of moments.
Yeah, I mean, Avi, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You can explain this as much as you want with all the verbal prose and language which you want, but a picture outclasses all of that.
Yeah, a video is probably worth 1,000,000 words. So congrats to Safaris. Again, as we said, Safaris is the giant killer there. They are the ones who can spoil the party for every team out there, especially those who are trying to make the playoffs. And here they have made it very interesting because they beat the Patriots. So, right. But gentlemen, it's been a great discussion thus far, but we are at the 1 hour mark. So let's try and shoot through some of these remaining. This one obviously was a massacre. I did remember justly messaging, I think maybe it was Satya, I don't know, or talking to Satya before the game in jest and saying, please don't traumatize the AR Phantoms out of the game. It's at the end of it. I think looks like mercifully they got to bat first. So
yeah, that was exactly what I was praying, that they win the toss and elect to bat. But I think Glads were short of players. I think they were playing with 9-10 players. And even within that, I didn't see the regulars. So definitely, as Viju had mentioned, there was shortage of players from the Glads side because of all the different tournaments that are going on. But to be honest, 7 players I think from Glads were enough to get over AR Phantoms. AR Phantoms, to be honest, I mean, even the 80 they scored was, I was surprised by the 80. But after that, it was just massacre. We were actually in the next ground playing Agni, and we were just seeing Vaibhav just hit ball after ball out of the park. He was just, hitting them left, right, and center. And I guess they finished the game when our innings break was going on. So it was just, clinical performance.
Avi, it's with a heart. I'm pretty heartbroken over this game because this was the last game for Vaibhav in a Glads uniform. Because Vaibhav is moving to California. But if you ask me on Glads, There are very few players who are as good as Vaibhav. He's an unselfish player. He's a team player. He's a complete batsman. And especially this year, he has been in dominating form. And this is the best I have seen Vaibhav play. He's a very good bowler when he hits his spots. But what I like best about Vaibhav was that he was a person of character. He was a person of integrity. And he was a great person to have as a friend. If he said he's going to do something, you can count on it that his word is as good as his bond. He's loyal to the core. He could have gone and played for any other team out there, but I never had to wonder whether Vaibhav will ditch us and go to some other team, because I knew Vaibhav's character. He bled Glad's blue. The best line I remember from Vaibhav or from any Glad's player in the history of Glad's came from Vaibhav. It was after a very tough loss which we had in an FCC Cup game. We lost to a combination of knockouts players, and we lost in the semi-finals or something like that. And then it was a tough loss. It was a one-run loss or something like that. But I remember when we came to the dugout, he made a line, he stated a line, or he said a line which I never forgot. He said, "I rather lose and be in this dugout than be a winner and be in that dugout." That told me everything about that man. I never forgot that line. This was a class innings. It was a treat to enjoy. If you want to see what good T-ball batting is all about, watch this innings from Vaibhav, or watch another innings which he played against Pokeris. Complete domination, no wasted effort, everything positive intent. More often than not, 95% of the time, he got the intent, what he was trying to achieve. It was a great innings. I'm going to miss him as a friend. I'm going to miss him as a teammate. But to those who think this is the last you have seen of Vaibhav, if we need Vaibhav in the playoffs, I have promised this to the Glad's team, that by Jove, if Vaibhav is ready to come, we will bring Vaibhav back to play a semi-final or a final or whatever it is. If we think we need him for that game, I've already got the assurance from him that he will make himself available. But if we feel that we need to have him for a game in the playoffs, we will definitely bring him back. That's my promise to the entire Glad's team. I don't care how much it costs. That's what we have to do. Then that's what we are going to do. And that's what we will do. There is no two things about it. But this was the last game for him. He's a fantastic player. And about the game, there was really nothing much to say. I mean, one Vaibhav alone was pretty much enough for 62 runs, and we are chasing 80. So you can see the domination there. So it was a good game for us, but a huge loss for us, at least in terms of losing a player.
Looks like he certainly signed off in style, though, with the way he's played there. 4 sixes in his 61, quite well. And we do wish him the very best from our community as well, to whatever endeavor he's moving on to. I believe it's basically a job location change. So we wish Vaibhav the very best, and it's, as an opponent, I wouldn't be very thrilled to see him back, but it'll certainly be good to have him back as a person. Next up, I think a second week in succession of a shocker from GLCC. I don't think any of us saw this one coming.
Yes, I think last 3 weekends, GLCC has been somehow finding ways to lose. This was pretty much out of the ordinary. I mean, GLCC getting all out at 75, and their batting has been collapsing weekend after weekend. Earlier, I think before the 3 weekends, we were all joking about how their bowling has been clinical, getting people out at exactly 56. But somehow that barrier and then that floodgate has opened. And after that, GLCC has not been the same team anymore. The batting has been dismal. They're the more experienced batting, which we talk about, and the class which they have in terms of Vaibhav and Manpreet. I mean, we saw Manpreet come in, and I'm pretty sure Viju has a lot to say about him. So we've seen Manpreet Singh of the past, and what he's capable of, but obviously he's not the same player anymore. He's past his prime. But I wasn't expecting much from Manpreet Singh. I was expecting more from Preet and Vaibhav and Ashraf and Samish, those guys who have been in this league for so long and have that so much experience to kind of come out trumps in this game after this the double loss they have had the last weekend, to kind of somehow bring the GLCC engine back into gear and start in the winning cause. So somehow that didn't happen. 75 is a very, very paltry score against even if it's MI Rangers, or even if it's a bottom ranked team. But this, I think, makes the situation in Pool C really complicated. With this win for MI Rangers, again going back to Aditya Nalan and Abhilash and Jitendra, I think those people did the exact thing which we expected GLCC to do. They used their experience, made sure they chased it in style, just losing 6 wickets. But they made sure that, there was never a time during if you look at the scorecard, there was never a time where we felt like GLCC was back in the game. I mean, there were wickets, yes, they were losing wickets, but they were also scoring runs. And the bowling, GLCC hasn't turned up. I know I chatted with Samish after they lost last weekend, and I asked him, what's going on? Like, this is the real shocker for everyone that you guys lost so easily the last game against Sterling Strikers. And he said he was experimenting with a few things. He's still working out a few things, but I hope that that experimenting and that whatever he's working out, is something that he works quickly, because I think the lead at the top is slipping away. Sterling Strikers are definitely edging into that second, third position and making it difficult for GLCC. Now the equation at the middle of the table makes it really interesting. So, I'm pretty sure Viju has something to say, but I would love to see the points table for the Pool C. If you look at the Mcc Miles, they also won this weekend. So the 5-6 position, that is a very, very close affair. I think that's going to be really, really a great battle to see. Go ahead, Biju.
Parthiv, I felt GLCC has been in a funk ever since they played Glads. I again, as we said, that was a respectable loss, but I can't say that even this was a respectable loss. They certainly got thrashed by Sterling Strikers, and now, if you ask me, Michigan Rangers had a bigger win against GLCC than Glads had against GLCC. So I would rate Sterling Strikers' win against GLCC as the most lopsided, followed by Michigan Rangers, followed by Glads. That's how I would rate those 3 wins. So what GLCC has been doing, I do not know, because when Samish came on the show, he said that he is very confident that he can beat anybody on any given day. At this point, that sounds like a lot of hot air. All right. So let's call hot air, because I don't think they can beat anybody any given day. I mean, at this point, that's not sounding all that this thing. I do not know what experimentation you're talking about, because you're getting thrashed, and this is lopsided. And so what should we call it other than lopsided? But regarding Manpreet Singh, which Parthiv talked about, let me put this in proper perspective. Manpreet Singh has a lot of name, all right? And this name came from cricket ball. And I've seen Manpreet Singh in cricket ball, and he is an absolutely fabulous cricket ball player. In his prime, he was absolutely a beast, and he could dominate any bowling. He was a great cricket ball player, but I never ever felt Manpreet Singh was a great T-ball player. Being a great cricket ball player is one thing. Being a great T-ball player is a totally different thing. So I think in T-ball, there are some guys who are doing great in cricket ball as well as T-ball. So you have an Arjun Ajbani who seems to make that switch effortlessly. You have a Prasanna Venkatesh who seems to be able to do that adjustment very effortlessly. But then there are other guys. If you look like Vaibhav, our own Vaibhav, which we were talking about, he's a better T-ball player than he's a cricket ball player, because I haven't seen that great innings in cricket ball, at least in the few scores which I've watched, but he's a fantastic T-ball player. So I never thought Manpreet was that great a T-ball player. In fact, if I had to put the best GLCC lineup for T-ball, I don't even think if Manpreet Singh would be in that lineup. Now, yeah, he probably sends a little bit of a shiver down the spine of somebody else. But those who know well, they probably are not going to be too bothered about it and say, okay, yeah, if he plays, he plays. You know, I mean, in his heyday, yes, a lot of people created a big hue and cry and fuss over it. But I think it is much ado about nothing. Coming back to this game, I wanted to, I think the greatness of the Rangers was overshadowed by the antics of a guy by the name of Venkatesh Muthineni. We saw an official complaint come from the Dark Horses, and everybody in this panel is aware of it. We saw this complaint come from the Dark Horses skipper Pankaj Watts, because Rahul Bhandari went to umpire the game and he gave Venkatesh Muthineni an LBW decision. And I do not know. Do you remember the story of Snow White? I'm sure all of you have read that at some point. Let me reiterate that Snow White story. So what happens is that you have an evil queen. I do not know what her name is, but let's call her Cruella, because she was a cruel person. So Cruella, the queen, she fancied herself to being very beautiful. So she had this magic mirror. And so this magic mirror was on the wall. And so every day she used to go and say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all? And sure enough, the answer, the mirror never lies. And the answer comes back, my queen, you are the fairest of them all. But one day, Snow White reaches the appropriate age, and then her beauty blooms like the lily in the valley. And so, once again, Cruella goes before the magic mirror and asks, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest and most beautiful of us all? And the answer comes back, my queen, you're the fairest here. That is true. But Snow White is 1,000 times more beautiful, lovelier, and fairer than you. And this puts Cruella in a huge anger. She throws a fit and she hires a huntsman to go and hunt Snow White down. And so sure enough, the huntsman goes, but he doesn't hunt Snow White down. What he does is instead he goes and kills a boar, and he brings back the heart of the boar, because that's what the queen wanted. Bring me back Snow White's heart and liver. And sure enough, the huntsman brings back the boar's heart and liver. The queen eats the heart and the liver, and she thinks that's the end of Snow White. Next day, she goes and asks the magical mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful of us all? And the answer comes back, my queen, it is true that here you are the most beautiful person right now, but there is Snow White who lives in the land of the seven dwarfs, who is 1,000 times fairer and more beautiful and more lovelier than you. And so that was not an answer which she liked, and she got so mad that she took whatever was in her hand and hurled it at the mirror. Well, why do I say that story? Well, because that's exactly what happened. Rahul Bhandari has an empire, has a job to do. I don't think he knows Venkatesh Muthineni or anybody from Rangers or from GLCC. He went there to do a fair umpiring job. And sure enough, he has to give, there is an LBW decision, whether it is right or wrong. Rahul Bhandari gave it out. And the next thing you know, Mr. Venkatesh Muthineni has a fit. And he throws his bat and he gets into a yelling of this thing, and there is a screaming or whatever it is goes on. Whatever happens did not go right. But sure enough, the umpire felt intimidated. He was not happy. He brought it up to his captain, and the captain filed an official complaint. Now, none of us are happy about an LBW decision. But does that mean that we have to behave like Cruella? Do we have to throw a fit? I'm sure Avinash is going for an umpiring. We don't want people coming and intimidating Avinash or anything. He's just out there to do a job, and he's out there to do a fair job. I think I have to applaud the DCL committee for one thing. When the decision came out and when the complaint came out, I thought they will throw the book at this Venkatesh Muthineni guy. Anyway, this Venkatesh Muthineni guy has, even though he has probably not done, we have not discussed this Muthineni guy in the last several shows, So he must not have done anything great with the bat or the ball. But through this one act of his, he has got this image as the bad boy of DCL. So now this Venkatesh Muthineni has earned himself this reputation of being the bad boy of DCL. Now that itself is probably next time every team which goes against them, they probably want to know who is Venkatesh Muthineni, because he is now being termed as the bad boy of DCL. That itself is a blow, because it's in the court of public opinion, and in the media you just got trashed. That's exactly what happened. Now, I was hoping that the DCL committee would not throw the rule book and just find the hell out of this guy and find the hell out of the Rangers, because I don't think that is warranted. Sometimes we have to understand that things happen, but if it happens, punishing the team. This happened a few years ago with Mansab. When Mansab had a problem with a situation on the field, they threw the rule book and they threw all kinds of things. They fined him. Not only did they fine him, they banned him from the playoffs. And I remember, as an opposition player, I did not like that. Because if I beat Brownstown, I want to beat Brownstown with Mansab playing. Not having their best player in the playoffs is not the right thing. And sure enough, a number of us, including Samish and myself and many of us, wrote to the DCL committee that this is not right. Do the right thing, allow him to play. Don't punish the rest of the team, because if you really look at it, the guys like Jitendra, Abhilash, those guys are decent, fair guys, or whether Radang, those guys are good guys. Why do we have to punish them just because of one bad apple? All right. Now, this guy needs to understand certain things, and he needs to understand that he can't behave like that and put his team under the bus. So I was hoping that they will not unnecessarily, even if you give a monetary fine, I was okay with it. But I just did not feel that if he's a critical player for them, that they suspend him. Credit the DCL committee. They didn't fine him. They did not suspend him either. Rather, they told him, you go and do an umpiring job. That is a perfect answer. And I honestly applaud the DCL committee, because when they did the right decision, I think that has a lot of wisdom. And I think it's good that this guy goes and does an umpiring job. In fact, he should even probably do 2 umpiring jobs, because you know what, when you are the umpire and you are getting grilled, now you'll understand how it feels for the other guy who was doing the umpiring such a thankless job and he's getting yelled at. All right. This is not to say that the decision itself was right or wrong. I do not know. I never saw that decision. So all we can assume is that if the umpire felt it was the right decision, he made the decision based on its merit. So let's not, put him under the bus. He's a good player for dark horses, so I'm pretty sure he knows the LBW rules. I don't think he needs to be educated on the LBW rules. If he felt you are out, you're out. Move on. But that's pretty much what I had to say on this game.
That's quite an innovative penalty issued by the committee. I think kudos to the committee for actually coming up with that.
It's the need of the hour.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And we've said this before, even on this show, and I've said it even on other forums or even in private, where umpiring is a thankless job. And I know firsthand how difficult it was to try and find a substitute for me. And the last thing I would have wanted was for that poor guy to go there and then get yelled at and like Viju said, irrespective of the quality of the decision, I don't think anything warrants abuse of the umpire. So I hope the gentleman concerned learns from his umpiring experiences. I would have probably issued at least maybe 3 umpiring occasions for him, and and maybe made him umpire a Glads versus Indus game or something deliberately, so that he gets to see what it is to umpire a high pressure game and how to get decisions in such situations. I'm not saying that either of those teams will behave in an uncouth manner, but I'm just saying maybe that will give him a glimpse of what it is to actually umpire. And I'm hoping it's maybe a one-off incident. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and I think we should give them the benefit. This is the first time we are hearing this thing. So that's why I didn't want him to be thrown under the bus. But at the same time, what he did was not right. So I think I honestly, even though I felt 2 umpiring assignments, I still think 1 is good enough. That's fine. You get the point. You have to go and do the umpiring, whether you like it or not. Let's move on, kind of a thing. But it's good that they did it. Actually, it is a decision from the committee I absolutely love. I was thinking that maybe there will be a monetary fine and there'll be suspension and things like that. I just didn't feel that was warranted. I don't think you should find, the Rangers are fighting for a playoff spot. If this guy is a critical player for them, let's give them that benefit. Let's not take that, rob them of that benefit.
Right. Well, 4 more games, gentlemen, and I know I personally do want to have a bit of a say before the Raptors versus Thunders game. So I'm not going to interfere much over the next 3 games. Anyway, it seems like a couple of them were they were either insipid affairs or they were one-sided affairs. So it's
Avi, I'm going to help you out. Agni versus Strikers. I'm going to pass on that. So I'll let just Parthiv decide for that game.
Great.
Yeah, I think Agni versus Strikers. I think FCC Agni. It was pretty disheartening to see FCC Agni kind of disintegrate so fast. I always considered FCC Agni to be a good team, a good opponent. So not a walkover by any stretch of imagination. But this was kind of a very, very easy win for us. I was expecting a lot more fight from FCC Agni, but somehow I think just looking at the body language of FCC Agni players and the way they were bowling and the way they were fielding, I think they probably have resigned to the fact that this season is all but over. Ramesh wasn't able to kind of get them the passion, the fire which they need to kind of compete. So we basically lost the toss. FCC Agni elected to bat, and apart from Prateek, who pretty much carried the bat all through the innings, nobody really gave him any support. And for us, it was great to see Vivek back in action. He's one of the bowlers I am counting on getting into the playoffs. He is a fabulous bowler when he's on song. He has been a little inconsistent with his wides, but I think this game was kind of the turnover, the change to get him back in form. So I'm very, very happy to see him. He and Binod, I think, are my 2 go-to bowlers, along with obviously the experience of Rahul, Nikam, and myself and Kapil to support them. But these 2 bowlers, they can change games. They can basically, they're so accurate and so skillful that they can basically get you wickets in heap. So it was great to see him back in the game, back in the amongst the wickets. And in terms of batting, I think once we had a 75 score, I think we wanted to finish it early. We wanted to get a very healthy run rate, and that's exactly what Parag and Rahul started off. 15 runs of the first over. Rahul Pawar was all slam bang, and he got out. But if he had not got out, I think we would have chased this in under 6-7 overs the way he was going. So pretty clinical performance. I wouldn't say we broke a sweat, but I feel really bad for FCC Agni. I hope they rebuild and come back. I've heard that Ramesh is probably leaving Michigan. That is not a good sign for FCC Agni, but sad to see them disintegrate in this manner in this season. Okay, want to go to the next one?
Yeah, at this point of time, I'd like to welcome our guests of the night, Vijay Kamam and Arun Shankar. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to have you. We still have, I think, 2 or 3 games to go through, which I think we will go through somewhat quickly. And then we will definitely bring you on to discuss the showcase game of the week that both of you gentlemen will be a part of. But thank you so much for calling in. Please do bear with us for a few more minutes.
All right. The next game we had was Krcc Brownstown, and this game this weekend kind of checks the box for Brownstown. They're pretty much done with the season. I think they're mathematically, I think now, unless I'm missing anything, they're pretty much out of the race. In this game, it was Maulik Patel. He's been in prime form this season, and as we talked about even in the Strikers game, the way he's approaching his batting with the calmness, with the maturity which he's approaching the batting is quite different from what we're used to from Maulik, where he was basically more, a hitter more than a accumulator of runs. But he's taking his time. And in this game also, if you look at it, 54 from 59 balls with 5 sixes, which makes you believe that, he's taken his time, he's picked his balls, and he, along with Bihar, just basically batted Brownstown out of the game. Brownstown, knowing that their chances are dim. I think they basically do not have the availability of some of the players. Didn't see Mansab Bart, Talal, and Saad. Saad was there, but didn't see Adnan and those guys come in. So I'm expecting that they basically resign to that fact that their season is all but over, and KRCC keep moving ahead. I think they're firmly slotted for the number 2 slot in Pool B.
Parthiv and Avi, I told you, I think a couple of weeks ago, I asked Parthiv this question: can an elephant do a pole vault? And the answer was no. And if the answer is no, then the answer is no even now. So too, I can categorically state that Brownstown cannot make the playoffs. Mathematically, figuratively speaking, emotionally speaking, I don't care which way you want to look at it. They are out of the playoffs, firmly out of the playoffs. Again, I do not know what is going through Rashid's mind, because Brownstown won the toss and elected to bowl. That's what the scorecard says. So if that is what it is, and I think that is the case, I do not know, Parthiv, what he is thinking, because the law of mathematics tells that if you want to win this game and you want to increase your net run rate as much as possible, then you should bat first and put up a huge total and then bundle out the opponent for a very low score. That is better than bundling out the opponent for 40 runs and scoring that 40 runs in, let's say, 3 overs. If you ask me, putting 180 on the board and bundling out for your opponent for 40 is better, mathematically speaking, in terms of increasing your net run rate than the second option. So what is Rashid thinking? I have no idea, because it made zero sense to me. But if you ask me, this was the Maulik Patel and the Vihar Vaidya show. If this was 2019, Brownstown was the big showstopper team that year. They reached all the way to the finals. But in 2021, the tables have changed. And if Brownstown asked this question, which was asked by Bachchan in Diwar, Aaj mere pas bangla hai, gaadi hai, bank balance hai, tumhare pas kya hai? And if Brownstown had asked that question to Yogesh Mittal this week, when they met at the ground, saying that, hey, I have all these records, I have won 2 championships, and I have reached the 2019 final. Yogesh, what do you have? Yogesh would have said, mere paas Maulik Patel hai. All right? Mere paas Maulik Patel hai, because Maulik Patel, as you said, is in the form of his life. He is number 2 at 187 runs. He only trails the great Amarendra Nuwala by 8 runs for the orange cap. He's going for the best batsman award in DCL. And if he can do it, it's a feather in his cap. But I feel what has been the biggest difference is Maulik Patel has learned the waiting game. As you rightly said, he is having a lot more patience now. He's waiting for the right ball to hit. He doesn't mind taking a maiden over if that is what it calls for. There is no more trying to hit every ball out of the park for a 6 or trying to win the championship by Dhoni style and all that kind of nonsense. You get my point? But he's been brilliant this season. It absolutely dwarfed Vihar Vaidya's absolutely fine performance, because on the other hand, you had Maulik Patel, who was in dominating form. So all I can say is too good. I tip my cap to him. But question to you, Parthiv, as well as to Avi, who do you think is going to win the batting title if you had to pick one guy? Because it's in a very interesting situation. I'm just curious. Who do you think will win the batting title?
Between
between a number of guys. Okay, you can see those guys who are there. Probably just have to look at the top 6 or 7, and then it's going to be one
I
of
think
those guys.
my bet, looking at this season and how things are unfolding and his performance, across, not only just DCL, Mishka, my bet is Hardeep Singh Glads. I think he has. I know he's at number 7, but he scores runs aplenty when he does. If I have to pick, I'll pick him.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised Hardeep is at number 5. I didn't expect him to be that far down.
Here's the problem. Avi, let me clarify that. The problem for Hardeep Singh has got 2 things. So two things. One goes in his favor and one goes against him. What goes in his favor is Glads is going to be probably going to go deep into the playoffs or there is a potential to go deep in the playoffs. So you get more opportunities. You get more than somebody like Swarna Rahul Mritini or let's say Mano Reddy. You get my point at number 7. Mano Reddy is not going to go past the 10 games. That's it. He's done. So that's the advantage for Hardeep Singh. The disadvantage for Hardeep Singh is you don't get to bat because you're going 3 down. And guess what? Probably by 1 down itself, the game is over. Last game, if you look at it, the 2 openers finished the game. And by the time Ronak Patel went into bat, he scored 0 not out and came back. Hardeep Singh never even got a sniff to even enter the field, you see. So that's the disadvantage for Hardeep Singh is, yes, he has played 7 games, but he really did not get to bat in this game, nor did he get to bat in the previous game. So that's the downside. But the plus side is, I think in the long run, it all balances out. But yeah, I mean, Parthiv said Hardeep Singh. I can't argue against that.
I think I tend to actually concur with Parthiv there, because it's not every game that Hardeep is also not going to get a chance. It's I still think there are enough bowling attacks there that can actually take out the Glad's openers, and I do see Hardeep at least coming in at say a 2 down, or I know there's some shuffling sometimes that happens in his. So I think Hardeep still has a chance. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, again, I think we try to manage with regards to first going for the win and then trying to figure out if we can get Hardeep that opportunity. But I think Satya probably will have to look and see how can he probably create a little more opportunity for Hardeep Singh. So last game was probably an opportunity if we had sent him opening. But anyway, Satya did not play the game. So the skipper decided maybe Hardeep, he needed Hardeep lower down. But yeah, I still think that Hardeep will probably have a good chance as does any of those other guys. But I think Maulik Patel is in
definitely
the form
I
of
think it's between Armendra, Maulik and Hardeep as I see the way it stands. Praveen Bangera has an outside chance at 1 big score, but I still see, definitely, I mean, if Raptors go far, I think Armendra, like that Bahubali, he has a very big chance because he opens the batting for them. And if Raptors score the way they have been scoring, apart from this game, next game, he definitely has a big chance. So it's, I think, a battle between those 3 guys, all 3 big hitters.
Yeah. Guys, we already have our 2 guests with us. I was kind of hoping their presence to try and get us to speed up on the analysis. So let's try and go through these next 2 games as quickly as possible, please.
Yes. I think the next game, what was the next game?
This is pretty much like a Sanjay show, Mcc Miles versus Micah DHM.
Yes, finally, I was reserving my comments. Finally, Sanjay has come to the party. I've been waiting all throughout the season to say this. He is a class player, and when he gets going, it's very difficult to control him because his hits are very much similar to like Maulik Patel, Hardeep Singh. He can, he has that touch where the ball just keeps sailing over the boundary effortlessly. And in this case, it happened. I mean, it was matter of time, if you ask me, not whether he was going to, but it was a matter of time, albeit a slightly late. I think Mcc Miles would have loved to have him in form much sooner, but still there's still a little of the season to go. Mcc Miles in a good position to qualify for the playoffs, so it's great to see him back in form. He, along with Rahul and Jaswant and Brahma, are the backbone of Mcc Miles batting. So I think this is a welcome sight for Mcc Miles. Micah on the other side, they have got players who come in and come out, and Naveen Kumar has been like the only performer, just like I think Pankaj Watts is for Dark Horses. He and Naresh Reddy are gave them a really good chance to get close to the score, but again after that the batting completely failed. So I think Micah has a few really good players, but they still do not have the team yet to compete at this level.
Avi and Parthiv, Sanjay Alangawan was on fire. When I saw the score, I was not opening the scorecard. I was just looking at the overall score. It said 16 overs, 93 for 2. And then I saw the score balloon. And without even opening the scorecard, I figured that probably Sanjay Alangawan was going crazy. And sure enough, Sanjay Alangawan went crazy. Sanjay Alangavan probably subscribed to this wonderful line, which Parthiv knows very well. Tension lene ka nahi, sirf dene ka hai. He probably just subscribes to that mantra, and he was giving plenty of tension to the opposition. And then of course, Sanjay Alangavan probably also subscribes to this line. Har team mein bas ek hi gunda hota hai. MCC Miles team mein ek hi gunda hai, and that gunda is Sanjay Alangavan. And that is what Micah learned the hard way. But congrats to Sanjay Alangavan. This was a performance long overdue. We have been waiting for this performance. But when it came, what a fabulous performance it was. He's a fabulous player. And when he gets going, it's impossible to stop him. So as good as Vaibhav was, Sanjay Alangavan put an even better performance this week.
And I think it's a tribute to that Gundagiri where it completely overshadowed what can only be called some very good performances from Brahma and Jaswant and Rahul. So it's a testimony to how what an impactful innings that was with 9 sixes. And Sanjay is a dear friend, so I'm very happy for him.
That's what I was saying, right? But Vihar Vaidya had a great game, but unfortunately Maulik Patel overshadowed him. And that's exactly what happened here. Brahma had a wonderful game and the other gentleman had a wonderful game, but everybody is only going to be talking about Sanjay Alangavan because it was that dominating a performance.
Yeah, and I think that's the theme in most of the great innings. You see, there's always a Dravid in backing a Lakshman. So there is always that player who is not getting the limelight, but he's also a big contributor. So in this case, again, there were a lot of people who contributed, but Sanjay stands out.
Yep. So final game for this weekend, Arun and Vijay, I promise we'll get to you in very shortly. But before we discuss the Raptors versus Indus Thunders game, I just like to give a shout out to a few people publicly on this show. There are often instances where, yes, there are instances when we praise a lot of people, and there are also times when people come in for some harsh criticism from us. But I think this is an instance where that day I found out really how amazing some people can be, and how this lovely game can result in personal bonds being formed off the field as well. So like I mentioned, so Pokiris had a couple of umpiring assignments, actually 3 umpiring assignments. And the 2 that ended up being a bit in contention or uncertain because one of them was the Troy Hawks versus Thunderbolts game, which I was supposed to umpire. And then my captain, Ravi Narala, was supposed to umpire Indus Thunders versus Raptors. Now, early Friday morning, I wouldn't want to go into too much details, but my wife had a pretty critical medical emergency, and we had to rush to the doctor on that day. And she was in a lot of pain, and it was apparent that there was no chance that I could have left her and umpired that game on Saturday. So Friday afternoon, finally, once I get the full picture, or Friday evening, I pick up the phone and I call Ranjit first. And this is why, Viju, I was about to say, I will give Ranjit his due. And I first called Ranjit because I felt, in all fairness, I know Ravi, I said, look, Ranjit, this is the situation. I don't know what to do. I haven't spoken to Ravi yet, but I do want to talk to him, but I thought I'd call you first. And Ranjit's immediate response was, forget the umpiring, Avinash. We will somehow figure this out. Don't worry. It's, yes, please do talk to Ravi, but I will start working and see what we can do. And next up, I called Ravi. And Ravi, and this is the line that really touched my heart. He said, nothing is more important than your family's well-being, Avinash. So please don't worry about this. And then we ended up running from pillar to post. And sure, everybody has their constraints. So a lot of people could not offer to help, and some probably were not in a position genuinely to help either. And along the way, we also heard some ludicrous comparisons and reasons of my constraints versus some other people's constraints as well. But I want to focus on the positive. And then I thought, okay, between these 2 games, I personally know the captains of Raptors and Indus Thunders. I know Pradeep Botta well, and I know Sandeep Goku pretty well as well. So I thought, okay, I said, Ravi, you know what? The Thunderbolts versus Troy Hawks, you could probably take that game. And I will try and plead with these two captains to see if they can somehow manage with one neutral umpire. And maybe just the batting team supplies the square leg umpire like we do in Mishka. And I will place my entreaty to them and say, please, can you do this for me? And both of them were absolute gentlemen. They were extremely considerate. And I remember both of them saying, Avinash, please, you shouldn't even be having to come beg for us, beg in such a situation to us. Yes, this game is important. Yes, we all love this game, but come on, I mean, nothing supersedes family. So, and the health and well-being of a loved one. So please go take care of your wife, leave this to us. We will figure it out. Don't run around trying to find a substitute. Don't run around apologizing to us. Please put the phone down, go. And please let us know how she does, tomorrow. So then, and I must say that I was incredibly touched. So I'd really like to offer my, and of course, like Viju, you mentioned, Ranjit was the one sending out those emails, desperately trying to garner a substitute. I know Ravi felt that he had given a commitment to umpire this game. So he felt obliged as my skipper to try and find a substitute for me. And I think ultimately somebody was found for that game, and Ravi did end up umpiring this game. So, but all in all, I'd just like to say I was overwhelmed by everybody's consideration and kindness that day. And I think it showed how people can come together. You may not meet them on a daily basis. You may not interact with them on a daily basis. You may not even be close friends, but good God, when you're in trouble, I found out that there are people I can count on to come for my rescue. So I'd just like to say a heartfelt thank you to Pradeep Botta and Pradeep Anjuru from Raptors, to Sandeep Gopu from Indus Thunders, and then of course to my own teammate and friend Ranjit from Team Pokiris, as well as my skipper Ravi Narla. I am deeply indebted to them and all these people for accommodating my unavailability. So I just wanted to mention that out in public. It's something that overwhelmed me that day, and I'm truly grateful for their gesture.
That's great to hear. Yep, that's a great story to hear. I think, yeah, that's true. We all play great. We play hard on the field. We might have arguments, debates, but after all, I think it's great to see humanity take precedence over anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Very well put, Avi. And it's good that you brought this whole story out. That's one of the things which we try to do is, put a human face behind the story, and you put it so beautifully. And every one of those guys deserves credit for rising to the occasion and doing what it takes. And thank you for putting it out, and wonderful job by Ranjit, Ravi, and Indus Thunders, Gopu and Pradeep Botta, every one of them coming together, and also the umpire who actually stepped in and actually covered for you so
Yes.
that there was no shortage. So
Absolutely.
whoever that gentleman is, I wish we could find his name, but he deserves all the credit.
His name is Ganesh Babu, and I think Kishore Huar is that umpire.
Okay.
Thank
and
you.
Ganesh is from which team, Vijay?
I'm not sure, but he does umpiring for my Michigan Cup. So I know that guy. I don't know which team he plays for.
Oh, okay. But please do convey my heartfelt thanks to him in person and in public. Ganesh Babu, thank you so much. I hope we get to meet someday and I can thank you in person. I'm really grateful for stepping in. Thank you.
Avi, saying this out on this public forum, that is the highest kind of recognition anybody can get, because this goes out to everybody out there, right? So
Right.
being acknowledged on this public forum, that's the highest acknowledgement we can give. Privately, you might give it, but others don't hear it. But when I hear this Ganesh Raju, my heart goes out for him, and I really appreciate what he has done.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
thank you.
Entirely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Please carry on with the game analysis. Thank you.
Yeah, so this was the last game, and this was our showcase game of the week, which we had both Pradeep Botta and Sandeep Gopu come in, and we were expecting a lot of fireworks, to honestly speaking, because both teams are loaded with good batsmen, and especially Raptors. I expected batting first. I expected them to kind of really get a chance to dominate from that position, winning the toss and electing to bat. I was expecting them to put up a if not a huge score, at least a score of around 100, 120 plus. Even though Indus Thunder's bowling is pretty awesome. They don't give away, and they had everybody in this game. They had Praveen, they had Jalaj, they had Dinesh. I think they were still missing Manoj, but I think they had enough weaponry in their bowling to restrict Raptors. I think Raptors depend heavily, and this is something which Pradeep Bota has to look into, is they depend heavily on Amar and Kiran for that matter as well to give them a brisk and confident start. And once that doesn't happen, we've seen that the Raptors batting isn't the same anymore. It isn't able to kind of put in those big scores. I think Vikas comes in a little later than I would want to, especially in this situation when wickets are falling. He came down probably 6 or 7 in this. I would definitely want him up the order, especially when things are in this disorder. I think he definitely has that experience to stop the bleeding. In this case, the bleeding never stopped. I mean, 52 was a well below par score against Indus Thunders. But to be honest, I was very surprised the way Indus Thunder started. I mean, yes, they lost a few quick wickets, but they kept losing wickets after wickets, and that kept the game very interesting. I know Pradeep Bota has mentioned, contrary to our belief, that Raptors is a bowling unit more than a batting unit. And in this case, if they had pulled it off, I think he would have come back to the show and said, I told you guys. So it was pleasantly surprising to see, their bowling unit contribute. They came close, albeit didn't get the bonus point. But again, this was a game well under par. Both batting orders failed. Bowlers had a really great time, and Indus Thunders keeps moving forward. And as I had predicted, the winner of this game takes top seed in Pool A, and I think Indus Thunders just went on top, position 1. Raptors moved to 2. So I think that's the order I would expect to go into the playoffs.
Parthu, I'm not sure if I agree with that. I still think Raptors probably end up number 1 because. Sorry.
Oh no.
I still think Raptors end up number 1, and I still think that because I don't see them losing any other game other than this one. But going into this game, Indus came in with 2 losses, and Raptors had 0 losses. So on paper, the advantage was Raptors. But if you look at it, other than you, the remaining 3 of us predicted Indus Thunders to win. So all I can think of this game is that line from Bazigar, "Haar kar jeetne wale ko Bazigar kehte hain." And so Indus Thunders lost 2 losses and came in with 2 losses, but still ended up winning this game. And once again, a repeat of that playoff game from a few years ago, where again Indus Thunders got the better of Raptors. So in a critical game, there seems to be a familiar pattern. Thunder seems to get the better of Raptors. So form continued here, but it wasn't the game which we thought it was going to be. But low scoring affair, but Thunders won with bonus, so you can't fault them for anything. They did their end of the bargain. They did a wonderful job. But yes, I think Raptors have some deficiencies, and I think they probably will have to look at how they're going to address that. But I don't think they need my help for that.
And I think this kind of reminds me of that a historical incident where Hitler was declared Time's Man of the Year. And then Time came under a lot of fire for declaring a man like Hitler as the Man of the Year. And then Time magazine said, look, wait a minute, it only means that it's someone who's had the most impact. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a certificate of appreciation. So I guess, right. So when we say showcase game of the week, I guess we are happy to take it one way or the other. It doesn't necessarily have to be a team chasing 190 and coming up to 189. I guess we could take this too. So this was quite exciting as well. So, but having said that, I think that pretty much rounds out our segment of analyzing the previous week's games, and we finally come to predicting the future, the upcoming week's games. out of which we decided that the showcase game of the week is going to be Kings 11 versus the Hitmen, I believe, and representing both of those teams, we have their respective captains. Arun Shankar, who has, of course, come into some prominence on this show, at least for his somewhat astute leading of the Hitmen and their improved performances. And then Vijay Kamam from Kings 11, of course, we know, all of us know him, always running around, doing a lot of the organizing, umpiring a lot of games. And the amount of effort this guy puts into conducting the tournament is, he actually epitomizes the amount of sacrifice and effort people put in. So it is a real pleasure to have both of you join us on DCL Primetime tonight. A very hearty welcome to you, gentlemen, and thank you for sitting through patiently all this while.
Well, thank you, Avinash. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Avinash.
So,
All right, guys.
I guess,
Yeah, I
fire
have my
away.
first question. So we expect this game to kind of, it's a make it or break it game. With the standings you guys have, 5 and 6 in the pool. How do you guys take this, as a make and break game? What are some of the things you guys are thinking about? What is going on in your mind as you guys come to over the weekend?
From our side, like, we don't treat this as a special game. Like, it's we take every game serious. Like, we want to win, so we are not going to do anything extra or anything less than what we were doing in previous games. So we are not taking anything into our head.
Vijay, anything you want to add?
I'm still finding for my 11 or 12 per weekend games.
I don't.
Good honest answer.
Which is like, I have more pressing priorities right now. I want to ensure that 11 is actually 11. Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having hard time this weekend. I think a few players having some T25 semi-final game this weekend. So I'm short of few players. So I might get 11. I'll fill it up anyway. But yeah, I mean, as long as it's a close game, I'm good with it. That's all.
Another question from me was around both these teams. Hitman, obviously this is your first year in DCL, but Kings 11 also, I think this is the first year that we've started to gain prominence. You've got some really big wins. You're in playoff contention. Definitely the team which everybody is looking forward and not taking lightly. Throw some light on some of your big players, some of your players that we should be looking, or the DCL community should be looking forward to.
I mean, from our team, I think like most of them are good. Like, I cannot pinpoint someone like is great or someone is not good, but I would still say like Niranjan is a very good technique, like along with Shashank, and Sajid is a very good bowler. So yeah, Chetan Venkatesh is really good with consistent line and length. So.
How about you, Vijay?
Vijay, I think you're on mute.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, sorry, what was the question? I was just came out.
Oh, no worries. The question was more about, putting some spotlight on some of your players that the DCL community should be looking forward to.
Who do you think are the game changers on your side?
So I think this year we have a lot of youngsters in the team. So even if you look at my batting squad, most of the time I'm not even batting. So I'm not I'm not getting even a chance to bat, because I do have the deep down the batting order, and youngsters. So they have a lot of intensity and they have intent to play. So anytime any player can play. So I cannot say like this player can change the game, but there are game changers. I want to call out any single name. So there are who can take the game away, but especially I want to watch out on Sunil Somavarapu. With his ball, he's doing miracles. So that's all I would say.
Who was the win against Strikers?
Yeah, I was
Hey,
going to ask what has happened to Nikhil Kumar. I was expecting a lot more things from him after the first game bashing he had.
So he's playing for me like 3 to 4 years. So I know his game style, how he plays. So usually he plays down the order, and most of the time he will finish the game, and he's a game finisher for me. And when we are in trouble, he's the one to rescue us. That's what his role is. And I think most of the game we are not in that big trouble. The whatever the games we played, I think few games he was not available to. Uh, I think he'll come back. But if he's not doing with the bat, I think he's gonna do with the ball. So he's an all-rounder, so he can do anything.
Vijay, I wanted to. This is the first time I'm talking to you. I believe unless I'm missing a obvious point, but I've seen you from indoor, or I've heard of you from indoor, and I've always asked that you come and umpire our game because you're a fabulous umpire. But I've seen the way in which you have gone about organizing various things for FCC, both indoor and outdoor. I wanted to tip my cap to you and acknowledge on live video that you do a fabulous job. And in fact, I would encourage you to even join the DCL committee next year if there is an opening and things like that, because the game of cricket is the winner when somebody of your caliber joins and does the kind of work which you do. So people should understand the kind of work which you do. And I think you do a fabulous job behind the scenes of making everything go through very smoothly. So I just wanted to give that shout out to you for that fabulous job which you have done. And also this year leading this team, what both of you have done is something remarkable, because one of your two teams is going to make the playoffs in the very first year of existence. Now, whichever team it is going to be, I think the winner of this team is going to create history in that sense, that you would have managed to win something in the very first year and make the playoffs. Very few teams have done that. You can count it on their fingers, the number of teams which have done that. So here is a terrific opportunity for both of you. And I just wanted to acknowledge that and say that, hey, this is a fabulous season that you guys are having. Having said that, Vijay, going into this critical game, what do you think you guys need to do to win this game? Oh, I see my friend Kamlakar Ambati is there. Say hi to him.
Vijay is saying hi to you.
Hey, Viju, how are you? Nice to see
I'm
you.
doing good. It's a long time since I've seen you, Kamal. This is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just stopping by at Vijay's place. Yeah, how is everything?
Everything is going
I
good.
heard you're doing a great job with this show. So
I do not know if you're doing a great job with the show, but we're trying to make it interesting.
No, I'm just hearing the feedback here. A lot of people, they just love to watch your primetime show on Wednesday. So, I mean, I'm sure, everybody loved it. So DCL is enhanced with, anyway, Viju is there, DCL, we all know how blessed DCL to have Viju. So it's good. Yeah, it's nice to see you, Viju, after a long time though. Yeah, I wish you'll sometime here, not this year. They stopped. No.
Yeah, he's been having some
network issues, Kamal. But no, thank you so much for those very kind words. It's a pleasant surprise for us in more than one way. So we get to see you and we get to hear some good things about us. So that's great.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, carry on. I don't want to take your time. Yeah.
Sure, no problem. Yeah. So So I guess just to pick up that train of thought. So. Arun, this being your first season in DCL as part with Hitman, how did this team come about? I'm genuinely curious. I unfortunately haven't followed much. So, how did you guys put together this team? Are some of you that have played in DCL for a few years? Or?
No, we play together in for Mission Cup icebreakers, like 50% of.
Okay.
And 50% like active. Most of us are worker.
Okay.
Combination of both.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, we have oftentimes, I've also worked for organizations where there's a substantial, I should say, Indian or a subcontinental population. And usually people are, oh, there's enough Desis there. You should be able to form a team. But it's not that easy. So I'm very happy to hear when you mentioned that you know quite a few of your folks through work. So it's good. More power to you. I'm very happy to see you guys here as a team and actually performing this well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Arun, sorry, I've been having network issues, but I missed out on Kamal's reply, so I'll have to go and listen to the recorded version of the show. But Arun, fabulous job of leading this new team. All right, I mean, nobody expected Hitman especially after the first 2 losses. And when I saw the second loss, it was a very lopsided loss. Nobody expected Hitman to be in the running for that playoff spot. So I think as a leader, you have done fabulously well, and you've really got your players to come out and deliver. And I just want you to remember, this is a special occasion for the entire team, and especially you, to make the playoffs. And this is what makes this game so critical. But you yourself have been bowling very well. How's my friend Philip Thomas doing?
Yeah, Philip is doing very well, and he's performing well in this season as well. So yeah, he's having a good time.
Yeah. Coming to this game again, I'm sure you know how critical it is, because it's either do or die, and this probably is going to be the do or die situation. So what would you be focusing on, at least for this game? I'm sure this is not like every other game, but this game is, it is, you have to go with your best unit. Anything less than the best, leave it all on the field. It's as simple as that. So what would you do differently?
So from my end, like, I'm trying to get my best playing pull. Like, other than that, I don't want to put any pressure on player. Like, this is going to be a crucial game. We have to win. And we just want to go with the same mindset, like focus on what we have to do rather than what the outcome would be if we lose. So we are just going to do same thing what we were doing. We are not going to do anything extra or anything less for this game. So we are just going to focus on things what we have to do.
Coming back to your game against Krcc, you know that your batsman got wrongly given out without edging the ball. But when I look back at that game, this is just a free advice, which is that I think your batsmen are being a little tentative, especially.
Viju, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I think stuck again.
if I'm reading between his lines, I think what he mentioned was that
it's kind of very difficult. 80 runs and defend that, you see.
Still can't make out what.
Viju, sorry, we aren't able to hear you very clearly. Your connection keeps breaking. But I think he was kind of alluding to the approach taken by your batsman. Parthiv, please, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was saying that maybe he's getting into that, the batsman kind of getting out, edging the ball too frequently. And I'm just interpreting where he was going. But I don't know if Viju has gone offline, or Viju, can you type in your question in the chat?
Looks like he's back. He's
back.
I just came back. But yeah, what I was trying to suggest is that they probably want to be a little more attacking. At least, when by being too defensive, you probably can't win the game. But I think they have some good batsmen, but I think the number of runs which they are posting is probably not good enough to defend, especially going into a key game. I don't see the same problem with Vijay Kamam's side. Their batting has been pretty doing this thing. But I think Arun Shankar's team can give a little more output, and probably you want to go winning this game. You leave it all on the field, do or die, right? So you might as well try to see if you can accelerate a little more. At least if this was the Glad's team, that's probably what we would be suggesting, is that you need to do a little more, because you can't defend 70 runs with the kind of bowling which you are having. It is good, but not good enough to defend 70. And if it was a Blasters bowling, it's a different thing altogether.
I completely agree with you, but in the sense, like, they were trying to defend the good balls, like especially when they were chasing, like they were more concentrating on saving the wicket rather than like going for a fall shot. But that's not the proper approach. Thanks for the suggestion.
You're welcome. So Parthiv and Avi, you guys have questions? I mean, I didn't want to hog all, all the time.
No. Go ahead, Parthiv. Yeah.
No, I asked my questions I had. Basically, I feel like this game is going to decide a lot of the pool standings, and I expect a big scoring game. But I also wanted to find out as to for the the rest of the season, you guys going into the playoffs, what expectations are you guys setting for yourself going into the playoffs? Like, where do you guys want to finish off the end of the season?
I mean, I would answer the same question, the same answers, because I don't have long-term plans in the sense like I'm just taking one game at a time and trying to concentrate on it. So probably whatever best we could do, we are going to do.
Okay. Hey, one personal question I forgot. Yes. So in the game against us, you were swinging the ball like crazy. I don't know what you were doing. Is that because of the conditions? Was the ball, or do you normally tend to do that?
No, I normally, I'll just hold the ball very loose so that I would swing.
Okay. I was like in my dugout, we were trying to figure out like what is going on, because I haven't seen the ball do that much, in this season, and it was a pleasant surprise to see you move the ball so nicely away from the batsman. So that's something. I'm spilling the beans here, but yeah, Vijay, you're welcome.
Icebreakers used to call him as a snake bowler, so I know. So they used to ask him to bowl the snake ball. So that's what he's doing.
Oh, okay, snake ball. Okay.
So guys, one of the things, the advantage of being a showcase game of the week is that you get to shine some much needed attention on some of your key players. I think Vijay Kamam mentioned Sunil Somavarapu. I want both of you to highlight some of your players because they don't get that recognition anywhere else. And obviously, we do not know your teams as well as you yourself know the teams. So Arun Shankar, I want you to introduce some of your key difference makers and key players whom you rely upon, to whom you look forward to come up big in a big game and to make a difference in the game, the guys who back you up. Can you please shine some additional information which we do not know? And obviously, if we do not know, the rest of the league also does not know. Because as a skipper, you have a responsibility. Because when I was, I know that we invited Vijay Kamam, I don't know, maybe 5 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago. And he said at that time he felt shy. And my immediate response was, well, if you're a skipper, you cannot afford to be shy. Because if you don't go and stand for your players, and if you don't promote your players, who in the world is going to do that? It's certainly not my job or Satya's job or Parthiv's jobs. We are obviously going to focus on whoever catches our eye. But you guys are in with these guys every day of the week or every other day of the week. You guys go for practice. You guys have formed a unit together. Arun, please introduce to all of DCL, some of your key players to whom you rely and look forward to, whom you are looking towards to taking you over the hump.
Sure. I mean, I would start from the bowling unit. So actually, our leader of bowling unit is Aditya Gopalan. Like, if you see the stats, it might look different because he might be more economical, less economical because he would bowl all those 8th overs. He would take most of the damage. But he has a very good accuracy, and he exactly can land the ball wherever he wants to. And Chetan Venkatesh is a very good bowler. Even he has a very good control on his ball, and he's very reliable. And he has taken almost 16 wickets in this season. He's having a front of the season. Same with Philip. Philip is I would rate him as toughest bowler for me to bat. He can cut the ball both the ways. So Philip is he's the best bowler of our team. So bowling unit, and we have a very good spinner. It's a Hitmen. He's doing very good as well. And all of the other bowlers are really doing well, but everyone stood up in different games. But these guys have complete control over the ball. So I'm naming these guys. With the batting, like same, like everyone chipped in one game, but Shashank is pretty much consistent, like other than past 2 games, but he has been consistent for us, Shashank Gowda, and he has a very good technique and he changed the game. And same with Niranjan, Srijit, they all have very good techniques. Like they are still new to DCL, so they are just getting accustomed to that. Other than that, we have Kaushik. He's a very good hitter. He can accelerate in a very quick manner, and he can change the game as well. And this is pretty much our strength. And
there is a guy there by the name of Sajid Sheikh. I think in the past, if I'm not mistaken, he has done quite a bit of good work for other teams, or unless I'm missing that name with somebody else. True, false?
Sajid is a good bowler, very good bowler. I don't know whether if he has done a damage for other teams or not, that I'm not sure. He hasn't played much in last 2 years.
No, I think you're confusing it with a person from Mishka.
Okay, then the name. Okay, wondering whether that's a J. The other thing is, Aman Mahipar, did he come from TCA?
Yeah, he's from, like, we play together in icebreakers. Like we have been playing together for quite some time. So he's playing for.
Did he play for TCA 2 years ago or something like that?
Sorry.
The TCA, either Beavers or Stallions.
Uh,
TCA Beavers or TCA Stallions. Did he play for one of those teams too?
Yeah, he played for TCA Stallions. Yep.
Okay, that's why I thought. Because I think he was a good player and he used to be a critical player for them.
Correct. Yep. He's a very good batsman. Like his best stick, but he prefers he plays very few games for us. Like he plays mostly leather ball. So.
Okay. Let's go to Vijay Kamam, and Vijay, same question which I had asked Arun.
Okay, I think you're talking about Sajid, right? He used to play for me until I think 2019, and then I think even 2019, I think he played only a couple of games, and then he was not doing with the ball, so I have to rest him. So that's where I think he moved to a different team. So, and the next for this year, I think we changed team, and we had a lot of youngsters in the team, and I think you can watch out for a couple more batsmen. I would say Sai Karodi is an all-rounder, and Sunil Adonda. So he is my core team player who is being with Kings 11 like past. I mean, we used to be Kites, and he used to lead Kites team, and then we changed the team name to Kings 11, and then I started leading when we changed the name. Until then, I think Sunil Adonda used to lead the team, and we took over from. I mean, he's still there. He's my core member, and Deepak Kuniyal, he is an all-rounder. And Prashant Baliga, he is all-rounder. Sai Gautam is all-rounder. I think Purna, he just started playing DCL with us, and he's doing good with it. And Arjun Chittamani, I think most of them know he was the one of the Centurion with this when we changed the ball to hard ball. So he is in the squad, and Abhilash, he's a good all-rounder as well. I have a lot of all-rounder. That's how I picked this team. So I just want to not just reach the playoffs. I want to get the DCL this year. That's what our agenda is. So if we can get it, we'll get it. If not, then that's all. I mean, I know it's any day anything can happen, but yep, that's what our thing is. That's what we are trying to get the DCL this year.
How did you manage to get Arjun Chittamani into your team when the rest of all those guys from Marcos went and played for UCA?
So Arjun Chittamani, he is my key resource. I won't say resource too. He's my key umpire in Michigan Cup. So he does like most of the umpirings, and I got to know that he's not going to put Marco's team. So I asked him right away, like, can you come and play? And I asked him even a couple of tournaments earlier. So he was skipping. And then this time he said, like, Anna, I'll do anything for you this year. So that's how he was to my squad. Satya, you're saying something?
I was saying he's umpiring too much in Michigan Cup, so you dragged him from there like that.
Yeah. I mean, I know him, but yeah, I mean, whenever Marco's team is there, so I don't even ask. Like, I know that he lead the team. So whoever is not playing, yeah, I do check with them.
Yeah, I spoke to Paddy about that. So yeah.
And I'm more comfortable, and he's also more comfortable with me. So that's more important. Like when we are playing as a team, so we have to know each other and we have to gel with the team. That is more important.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think that chemistry is very, very important.
Right.
Personally, Vijay, all through last winter and spring, you were posting videos on a daily basis of you working out in the gym and getting into top shape. So personally, I know you said you yourself haven't given yourself too many chances to play, but just on a personal level, so that the others can learn from you as well. What kind of impact do you think has that had on the cricket field? We always talk about the Virat Kohlis and all those guys, but they are a distant fantasy. Now you are at our level and we see you in front of us. So with whatever fitness regimen you did over the winter, how do you think that has helped you, or you think that it hasn't had too much of an impact on the field for you?
I mean, I don't combine these two things. My fitness is different. So I mean, bodybuilding, that area. So when you are doing bodybuilding,
okay.
So people even don't even think like I'll play cricket too. So that's what it is. If you ask a coach, which one do you want? Can I do both? So he'll say like just do bodybuilding or just do cricket. So if they don't recommend both. So still I'm able to manage with my coach. So I'm convincing like Saturday and Sunday I'll skip it, and the rest of the days I can still hit the gym. So that's what I'm doing for this summer. So it's still going on. But coming to the on-field, my role is whenever we have a collapse or wicket fall. So my role is to just come in the middle order and then hold the wicket. And I'm running between the wickets is my key. So I can do that job. So I can get the quick runs. So that's only the thing I can hold, and I can bring at least to a decent score. That's what I usually try. But even, I mean, if you see Legends last game, so I didn't even came because I do have the batting order. So I was just waiting for one partnership, so who can get a big score. So we were expecting like 100 plays that day, but we had a collapse of 7 wickets, like I think 26 for 7 or something. And then we reached to 61, because even if you see that Gautam, I think he came around 7th wicket and he scored a good amount of score. So yeah, we do have the deep down the batting order, and I have introduced like 4 new players for that game. So they came all the way to Ann Arbor, so I have to give them the chance. So I cannot make them sit in the field like they are coming that far. So I just choose my side to just sit, and then I can give chance to other players.
And that's pretty considerate. That's the pressures on a captain, right? That's where you put your team's interests ahead of your own.
Satya will say amen to that, because he does that very often for Glads, I mean, he's the skipper, so often he ends up giving other people the opportunity. But I had a quick question for the last question from me, at least for Vijay Kamam and Arun Shankar. You guys are playing in your pool. Who is the best team you have faced so far in your pool? I think I know the answer, but I still would like to hear from you. Based on all the opponents you have played so far, who is the best team you have played so far?
I think Legends. I mean, I would go with Legends. The reason behind, because last game we played, it was their partial team. It's not their full team. The reason they had the Michigan game at 9 a.m. and we had the Michigan game at 9 a.m. I was missing my core players too on the same day. But yeah, I was waiting for that game. So I want to get Legends actually. If I get the Legends, it will be easy for me in the playoffs. Like any team, I can get them. So that's where our agenda was. But it went other way. Yeah, I think our pool, I think they will be unbeaten.
Arun, same answer?
Same answer.
You played them twice, so you know very well how good they are.
I was just going to say.
Hard luck. It's pretty hard luck. Unfortunate that you had to guys play twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if Parthiv Mehta was playing them twice, it might be Parthiv Mehta misses the playoffs and you are in the playoffs, So the luck of the draw was that you ended up playing Legends twice. But I'm sure Satish Belamakonda's is watching this on his big screen television, and he's probably doing cartwheels and standing on his head, hearing from you guys, his opponents who have played him. But they are the best team in Pool B. But but we also feel the same way. We have all been
not yet. I think Satish he's just playing his semi-final. Quarter-final game. He just reached to Michigan Cup semi-final, so he just finished the game. Yep.
Oh, is it okay? All right.
Oh, so he's not. He might watch.
Well,
the
he'll go and watch the recorded video. Trust me. He's very dedicated guy. He's very dedicated guy. He will go and watch the recorded video.
I would say it gave Hitman a great opportunity because first 2 games against Legends, and then they came back strong. They know how it works on in DCL. So Hitman took a big opportunity on playing Legends first 2 games. So.
Vijay, I had one question, last one from my side. So, Kings 11, you guys have won 4 games, but you have unfortunately dropped some bonus points on the way. Is that on the back of your mind? Is that going to impact your chances?
I mean, I never worried about the bonus point rather than winning. I think we tried against, Detroit Bulls. We tried to get that bonus point, and we went on back-to-back wickets. So I informed my team, winning is more important than bonus point. Just forget about the bonus point. It's okay. If we get it, we'll get it. If not, that's fine. Just let's get the game. And then even I didn't know until now, this weekend is going to be a crucial weekend until you guys have started saying about it. But all I'm looking for next 3 games, if I get a next 3 games, I'll be in the better shape in the DCL pool table. That's all I'm looking for. And I don't know why only this game is counting. Even next 2 games, I think I'll still make it to playoffs. That's how I'm looking at it. Either way, if I get the best team, I think my team will do everything. So they have that capability to get any team on a given day.
Vijay, the reason is simple. Because the first 3 spots are gone. All right, Legends have taken 1, KRCC have taken 1, and who's the 3rd team, Parthiv, out there? Blasters have taken 1. All right, they are most probably going to win their remaining games, whatever games they have. They might drop 1 game here or there if they have to play against each other. I think KRCC has to play Legends, so obviously one of them is going to lose that game. But my point is that leaves only 2 spots, and Parthiv already beat Hitman last week, so he's looking good, and he's still I think he plays your team twice because the first time he lost to you guys. Anytime you guys end up tied, it's an advantage for you because you have a head-to-head advantage over him. Now, obviously, if Parthiv can turn the tables against you guys, then it becomes 1:1, and then the NRR comes into the play. You get my point? So this is where we said that this game is critical. Let's say that you end up tied with Hitman, the head-to-head comes into play. Or when you beat Hitman, you go up 1 and he goes down 1. So the difference becomes 2 games. So that's where we come to this conclusion that this is the most critical game. Just giving you the logical explanation behind it.
Still I'm not going to put this in my players' head, so they'll be thinking something else. I'm not going
they will listen. They will listen to this video and automatically draw their own conclusions.
I think I think it's a make or break game more for the Hitmen than the Kings 11. I think because of the number of games left, I think Hitmen has 2 and the Kings 11 have 3. So this is definitely more crucial for Hitman for them to win. But again, both teams have to, if any one of them win, I think they have an edge over getting to the playoffs.
Okay, I don't take it easy on us.
That reminds me, Hitman, your NRR is wrong. I'm giving you the heads up, but anyway, I know what the correct NRR is. But that's only going to come into play later on. So just giving you a heads up. Your NRR is better than what the site is showing. That's all I want to say. That's for Arun Shankar. Arun, your NRR is wrong. I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
Well, with that, gentlemen, I think it's time to move on. Without much further ado, and I would say maybe let's not discuss a bit too much. Instead, let's just, when we come to the predictions, which of course is sponsored by Green Sapling Eco-Friendly Dinnerware. They have kindly agreed to sponsor a contest between us analysts, which Parthiv up till a while back was winning quite handsomely. Oh, but before we go there, Satya just put up on the screen the top shooters for the past week. Sanjay obviously leading in the batting scorecard, 74 of just 33, 2 4s and 9 6s. That's about the number of sixes some of us hit in our lifetimes. Followed, of course, by Vaibhav in his swan song for now with Gladiators, a wonderful 61 of the same 33 balls again, equally balanced between his boundaries and his maximums. And you never can keep this guy out, can you? Maulik Patel from Krcc, 54 of 59, and just keeping it simple, 5 6s, hits all out of the park. And when it comes to the guys that were not so much on the receiving end, on the bowling side, Teju Kumar from FCC, he's been having a couple of weeks of very good bowling performances. He bowled very well for the ZF corporate cricket team in the corporate championship, and looks like he's carried that form over here in DCL for FCC. 5 overs, 1 maiden, 5 wickets for 14 runs.
He's a very nice guy too, Avi, very nice chap. So I'm very happy to see him have that fabulous outing. So he does spin the ball a mile actually.
Yep.
So good player.
Definitely, yeah. Teju's definitely an important cog in the teams he plays. So, which brings us to the predictions. Parthiv until a while back was winning quite handsomely, and is still in a substantial lead.
Yes.
We will see
if closing in. You guys are closing.
Yeah. We are within within a year.
I'm going to
shot.
stop. I'm going to stop using my heart. I'm going to start using my brain now. I've been supporting my friends too much.
Well, you probably had the scope to do it, but yes, things are heating up at this point. But so we will also have our guest analysts today take part in making the predictions. Of course, the contest is limited to the 4 analysts. But Vijay and Arun, please, we would love to hear what you think as well. First up, UCA versus Southfield Super Kings. Southfield Super Kings, for me, UCA have made some strides, but at the same time, they've also regressed a bit. So I'm going with SSK.
Yep, same thing for me. I think Super Kings definitely on this one.
I'm taking Super Kings again.
Yeah, me too, SSK.
All right, Vijay? SSK and Arun?
SSK.
SSK for you as well. Okay. Next up was Patriots versus Raptors. We'll hope for the league's sake that this will be somewhat of a close game, but I think even if the Patriots put up a good fight, the Raptors have this one.
Yes, I'm hoping Raptors are able to, like the last game was just a hurdle, just a bump, and they're back to winning ways. So Raptors for me.
Raptors for me.
Raptors for me too.
I'll support my friend Nitin, so I'll go with Patriots.
Okay. And Arun?
I'll go with Raptors.
All right. So 5-1. Next up, Safaris versus FCC. Now, this is where I believe we have a bit of a chance to catch up to Parthiv if stuff goes downhill for him, or it might well blow the lead wider open. Safaris versus FCC, Safaris for me.
I think I voted for Safaris. I just want to double check.
It says FCC.
You voted for FCC, my friend.
Okay, I did. Okay, yeah. I'll stick to that then.
All right.
I'll go with Safaris.
Yeah, I'm riding the Golden Mrithini train. All right, Golden Mrithini all the way, baby. So Safaris.
I am riding the Venkat Vadanala comeback story.
What about Vijay?
FCC.
FCC, all right. And Well, it's probably expected, right? And then
Well, if he doesn't say FCC, Kamal might murder him in his own house.
why do you think he's gone off camera? I think there's probably Kamal holding a knife to his throat, saying, "All right, what are you going to say on this one?"
Nothing to do with Kamal here with that FCC team. I'm just going for Tejas. I know. I think when he came to this show, I think he voted for Brownstown versus Kingsland. I think he voted for Brownstown, but still, FCC can do miracles. Just Tejas, I'll believe him.
Good on you, Vijay. Yes, Arun, who do you think? FCC versus Safaris. You're going with Safaris. All right, 5-1 again. This is the one that can actually decide this analyst contest. So Dynamites versus Troy Hawks. Now, Troy Hawks is a favorite team of mine. They have made some significant strides and performed well this year, but Vijay Shanmugam has somehow found a way to inspire his team. They've been posting victory photos after victory photos on Facebook. I am hoping they will post one more this week. I am in the Dynamites camp for this weekend.
Yes, I think same thing for me. I think I'm firmly on Dynamite side. I think this definitely is the season which Dynamites are, turning the corner. So I'm hoping that I'm getting on the victory wagon for Vijay Shanmugam.
All right.
Going with the Troy Hawks. So just there.
Are we posting photographs is one thing, all right? Ground reality is a totally different thing. I think when they get to the ground, the Troy Hawks with this new mentality which they are having of bringing Mega Sai and all these other guys, I think Dynamites are going to find the going tough. And so I'm going to go with Troy Hawks on this one.
All right. Vijay?
Troy Hawks.
All right. Okay. 3-2. And Arun?
I'll go with Troy Hawks.
Wow. Okay. Looks like Parthav, you and I are on a bit of a solitary run here, but 4-2 in favor of Troy Hawks.
Yeah, we can either blow it open, or we can basically have a really close contest after this week.
Absolutely. And next game for this weekend is Brownstown versus Strikers. And I think this one, I'd be very, very surprised if this actually went against my wish of Strikers winning this one. Not my wish, but my prediction of Strikers winning this one.
He goes Strikers. Yes. I'll go with Strikers too.
All right.
The only enjoyment I got of watching Brownstown play last week against KRCC was seeing my good friends Rehan Malik and Rashid Malik bat. And I thought they batted pretty good. But I think it's going to be the same thing here. They probably come out and they enjoy themselves. And if Parthiv is lucky and Rashid is in a generous mood, even if Rashid wins the toss, he probably has Strikers to bat. So Strikers for me.
All right. Vijay?
Strikers.
Okay.
I'll go with Strikers.
Perfect. I actually like how proactively Vijay and Arun respond immediately after Vijay is done. They picked up the order immediately after just the first game. Kudos to you guys. KRCC versus Detroit Bulls. I think another no-brainer. KRCC all the way for me.
Yes, I think KRCC for me, but I'm hoping that I lose this prediction because that gives us an inside track into maybe snatching the number 3 position. But that is wishful thinking. But that is at least as the captain of Strikers, that's how I'm hoping that there is an upset here.
All right.
Yeah, I think Parthiv is on cannabis again, hoping all this nonsense. So KRCC for me.
Just in the interest of our analyst competition, Satya just dragged Parthiv's lovely batting stance picture to the right in the Detroit Bulls camp. And Vijay?
Detroit Bulls.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Vijay, what is the thought? Why did you pick the Bulls? I'm just curious.
Mahesh is my friend, so I just want to support him.
Oh, so this is friendship. All right. Okay, I understand that.
It's emotional. Arun?
Yeah, same friendship here, so I'll support Bulls.
All right.
Oh, and is that the same Mahesh who's the friend?
No, like I used to play for Bulls before 2-3 years.
Oh, okay, all right,
Okay.
So who's your best friend on Bulls?
I mean, most of them are my best friends. I don't know whom to say. Jagdish.
Oh, Jagdish Javadi. He played for me once in, I think, Novi Cup or something like that. We won the title with him. So he was on cloud 9 after that. So yeah, I like that guy. He's a good bowler and a nice chap.
He's a great bowler.
Sterling strikers versus Pokiris. There is no doubts on. Oh, Satya, please. You can't even hover the mouse over onto the left. Pokiris all the way.
Yeah, I'm expecting. I'm going with Pokiris. I'm expecting. The Pokiris bandwagon to now suddenly getting serious. Hoping that I know Sterling strikers are on the rise, but I think they're going to meet some stiff competition in this game. So I'm going with Pokiris.
I'm going with Sterling strikers. Just they're doing better. So it's no offense to Pokiris, they're a good team, but it might be a good contest.
Right.
Avi, my bad record is because of few teams. One of the culprits is that I went against Sterling strikers for almost 5 games of the first 5 games of the season, and I got whipped so badly by that my buttocks are looking black and blue. All right. After having been beaten black and blue on my buttocks, I'm not betting against Sterling strikers. I am a believer in Sterling strikers now, and I am singing the Sterling strikers praises so much. So I am saying that they are probably the best team in DCL or one of the 3 teams fighting for that honor. So Sterling strikers for me.
All right. Vijay?
Sterling strikers.
Okay. Harish?
Pokiris.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
That's the first game which got tied 3-3.
Right. Yeah. MCC Miles versus MI Rangers. This one was a bit of a tough one for me personally, at least, to call. And MI Rangers have actually been on a roll, I think, the last week or 2. So I'm hoping that they will carry that momentum despite Sanjay finding his nick in the last game. I think MI Rangers can still pull this one off.
Yeah, I'm going on the other side. I am going on with my belief that Sanjay has finally awakened. Sanjay is finally going to take MCC Miles further. And this game, to be honest, is the make and break again for this pool, Pool C. I mean, both teams are, I think, neck and neck. So the winner of this is probably confirmed the 5th position, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. It's going to be either Sanjay or Abhilash. So for this time, I'm going with MI Rangers.
Yeah, Parthiv, you're right. Miles have a point advantage over Rangers. But if Rangers can pull this one out, especially after beating GLCC that badly, I think they'll be coming in high on confidence, just like we said Kings 11 versus who's this? Hitman is going to be a critical game, make or break game. I think this is going to be the make or break game in Pool C. If Miles win, they are going to take that 5th spot because I think the first 4 spots are gone. So the 5th spot is out for this thing. But I think Rangers will come with their best unit. And somehow I feel that the Rangers have a little more spice and splunk and probably a little more hunger coming in, especially after all what happened last week. So I'm going with Rangers.
Vijay?
He's on mute.
I have no option. I have to go with Sanjay, MCC Miles.
Okay. Arun?
Yeah, I'm going with Sanjay as well. MCC Miles.
Right.
Oh, cool. 3-3.
Again.
Yep,
Okay.
a second game. 3-3.
Oh, this one, I don't even think it's a contest. Gladiators versus Micah. It's the same entreaty that I made to the Gladiators before their AR Phantoms game. Please don't brutalize another team out of DCL for good. So it's...
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I think Glad's all the way.
Yeah, I don't know comments, but...
Yeah, I don't want to tip.
Which is
I don't
code
want
for you guys are absolutely right. Thank you very much. But
yeah, I'm going with Glads, but I have questions.
such as?
No questions with you.
Yeah, I don't want to reveal my hand, but yeah, it's an August game, so we have some.
As long as you guys have 7, I think that's more than enough.
We are only 6.
That's all right. Instead of all of you batting on the wrong hand, just have a couple of them bat on the wrong hand, and you'll still win this one. It's no offense to Micah. I'm sorry. It's if anybody from Micah is listening, and it's no insult intended, but just some good-natured ribbing. Vijay, sorry, I'm assuming both Vijay and Arun are in the Glads camp as well.
Yes, and Habib is going to open the innings.
Well, if I don't know, that's Satya's decision, right? Or whoever is the skipper.
Interesting question and choice of words for an answer with you. So okay, that's okay. And then Arun.
I'll go with Glacier, obviously.
Right. And then last game to predict for this weekend, Rising Stars versus Canton 11. Again, I think it's probably going to be a unanimous vote in favor of Canton 11, right? That's
Yep. I think all.
I go with 11. Viju?
Yeah, Canton 11.
all right. Vijay
Yep, Canton.
and Arun.
Yes, Canton 11.
Perfect. That brings us, and of course, then we've already had we've had the discussion on the showcase game of the week, but we haven't quite predicted this from an analyst standpoint. So, Kings 11 versus Hitman. For all my admiration for what Arun has achieved this year in their debut year for the Hitman, my prediction for this game is that Vijay and his boys put one over Arun's guys.
Yeah, I think for me, it's pretty simple. One team has beaten us, one team we've beaten them. So I would definitely vote for the team which beat us. I would go with Kings 11.
All right. Nice, honest, candid assessment.
Yeah. So I played with Kings 11 team couple of games, and yeah, Arjun is good friend of mine, but still I'm so back at prediction, so I'll go with Hitman this game. So
Wow, that has backfired on him last week. You know, he went against us trying to catch up, and he went further behind. You see,
Further behind.
So yeah, but anyway, I feel Kings 11 is the better team at this point, and Arun has to prove me wrong. But I've given some pointers to Arun as to what Arun can probably try to do to help himself. But critical game for both teams. I like both teams. Both captains have done a fabulous job presenting their teams today. But when push comes to shove, I have to pick somebody. Even though Philip Thomas is my very good friend, I still have to pick against him and the Hitman. I'm going with Kings 11. Yeah, and the other two guys obviously will vote with their respective teams.
Right.
No, I can vote Hitman, so.
So sweet.
Well, that I think pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. We hope you've enjoyed our analysis of games past and future. It's always a pleasure bringing you the incidents on and off the field, and of both of them, they were galore last week. So I hope you certainly enjoyed watching the show tonight. If you haven't caught it live, as always, please do remember to go see the recording that's put up on YouTube. We love doing this. We love bringing you all the happenings on and off the field. And we hope that you love watching us. And that's what encourages us to do this week after week. I'd once again like to thank Vijay Kamam and Arun Shankar for joining us today. It was a real pleasure having you and listening to your inputs about your team and your thoughts about the game. Good luck to both of you. Please do live up to the Showcase Game of the Week title. Give us an exciting match, and we certainly look forward to seeing your game as well as the other ones. So to all of you, take care. Please. Yes, Vijay, go ahead.
Thanks, Avi, and thanks, Satya, for inviting us, and thanks to all Viju, Parthiv, Arun.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Avinash. Thanks, Viju, for your valuable inputs. Thank you, guys.
Our pleasure.
Guys,
Good luck, guys.
best of luck. Best of luck to both teams.
Yep. And just a note of caution, yes, cases, I believe, of the Delta variant are rising again. So we are still in that challenge that we are all facing off the field. So all of you, please do take care, exercise caution, stay safe, and let's continue enjoying as much of our lives as we can in these rather testing times. So take care, stay healthy, have a good night. See you guys all on the weekend. Bye-bye.
All right. See you.